draft to kick things off. Then at noon Eastern, no Sam Sherman today. The corporate world called, but guess what? In his absence, one Mr. Jakob Sanderson will be filling in. And then, of course, as always, Pat Kerrane batting cleanup at 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm Pete Overzet. This is Best Ball Breakfast. 4 Best Ball Mania drafts on tap. Let's do it.
Welcome to hot Best Ball summer. You slurp that suspension dipperino, honey?
Easy to click on Rashad White when it's all site credits.
Exodia.
Put the puppy in the bag, bro. Try to grow the goddamn game.
The game is beatable, folks.
Slap King Summer, bitches.
7,000 hours of commercial-free Best Ball drafts starts now.
All right. How are we doing? Hugh wants to know over under 8.5 Q requests from Levitan. I know. We shall see. We shall see what is up. Fantasy Pill, B-Stock, OMG, everybody, GMs, training camp week. We are so back. I'm excited about having training camps, man. The past few weeks, writing the Fantasy Life newsletter, and you're just searching for anything remotely relevant. And there rarely anything is. Now we're actually going to get some concrete information here. How actionable it is, that's always a debate. That's kind of the fun part of training camp. But I'm excited to have something, some kind of fodder to sink our teeth into. What up? Does Jakob Sanderson have site credits? We're going to find out. I mean, he's going to be using my site credits today, but who knows? We will find out if he has those credits. What is up, Yosh, Rex, GMs? Here we go. How are we doing? Did everybody have a good weekend here? I do have in the chat a poll on how many coffee pours we're going to get here. I have some information that you guys don't have, which is that I've already been drinking a little coffee this morning. I don't have a ton in the carafe, although I can also space it out. I can do small pours. I can do big pours. So I think the 2.5 line is a pretty good line that was set, but let's kick us off with the first one here. We'll go about a half pour there. Leave us a little bit of drama for this 2.5 line that we set. All right. Let's see here. Genty says, thank you for always servicing the audio listener army. Of course. If you guys aren't ever able to tap into the whole thing live, or you need to catch a second portion of it on the go, I do upload both the video and audio from all of these streams to the In a Vacuum podcast feed. If you go in the description, you scroll all the way down, you'll find a link to it. You can find it on Spotify if you want the video. It obviously pushes to iTunes, wherever you get your podcast from. I feel like at this day and age, we could stop saying that. Everywhere. Yeah, you can get that there and you can listen to it on the go. I was posting over the weekend. I went to look at my podcast feed and it was all Ben Gretsch. He's been doing the new Longview pod with Jakob Sanderson. He obviously pods with Sean Siegel on Stealing Bananas. He just wrapped up the massive projection series with the Edge crew over there at ETR. And I counted it up. It was like 12 hours of Ben Gretsch content. So it's tough out there. It's tough to get to all of this, but I will happily toss the Best Ball Breakfast audio in the mix there for you guys here. Ink is from the construction trailer. You love to see it. GM. The long view is awesome. Agreed. I've caught the first one. And actually, that reminds me, Artillery Frost, Ben Gretsch is going to guest with us on Ship Chasing this week. So you're going to get even more Ben Gretsch audio content. Always fun talking with him. It'll be kind of one of our last shows probably where we are talking more theoretically, thought exercises about it, because August, when we turn that calendar over to August on Ship Chasing, we're drafting nonstop. We'll be drafting a bunch of high stakes teams in the FFPC and all kinds of stuff over there. But yeah, need to set the table with Gretsch. Excited to have him on. That'll be Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. A couple other programming notes for this week on the channel. I just posted it. Evan Silva is going to make the return to the randomizer on Thursday. It's been a few years. It is one of the episodes of randomizer history that is infamous because Silva was not down to play ball. He nagged me a lot, but we had some negotiations over text messages over the weekend. We're bringing him back for a redemption arc. If you guys want to share or suggest prompts for that show, feel free to to suggest those either in the Discord, on Twitter when I post the announcement. And the way things are going to work, this is going to be similar to last year. The Best Ball Bash and the randomizer will be within the same streaming block. So we'll kick off the Best Ball Bash Thursdays at noon. We'll do a couple of drafts with YouTube members, and then Evan Silva will join for his randomizer draft. So that'll be kind of the programming flow for Best Ball Bash and randomizer the rest of the summer until the season starts. All right, but it is time for me to start a Best Ball Mania draft. I tipped you guys off in the Discord. If you are YouTube members at that Best Ball Value Hounds tier, you also get access to the Best Ball Breakfast channel in the Deposit Kingdom Discord. I do have the link down below. Once you become a YouTube member and you go in that Discord, you can sync your Discord and YouTube accounts. It sounds daunting. It sounds hard and intimidating. I promise you it's not. There is an FAQ to hold your hand through the process. Then you can unlock those channels and take advantage of all of that good stuff. But let's get this up on the board here. I have 107 in this first Best Ball Mania draft. I checked before going live. This is my 96th draft. Unfortunately, I will not be able to get us to 100 on this stream today. It'll be 96 with me, 97 with Levitan, 98 with Sanderson, 99 with Kerrane. And then we will be officially 2/3 of the way done with streaming 150 Best Ball Mania drafts for the third year in a row. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. We did it for the first time. Last year did it again. This year on a good pace to go 3 in a row. 107 here, looking at the exposures. This is kind of my Amon-Ra territory here. You can see with my solver exposures, my first round stuff, I only have 5.3% Gibbs. Let me actually filter to just Best Ball Mania so we can see what we're working with here. Okay, it's it was 5-point-something Gibbs, 9.5% Robinson, 7.4% Chase, 5.3% Puka, 9.5% JSN, 10.5% CMC. I'm actually getting my Amon-Ra stuff boosted of late. 8.4% in BBM, 9.5% Jonathan Taylor. Is this fun? Me just reading my exposures that are all within 2% of 8.3? I hope so. I hope so. Looks like we'll get either JSN or Amon-Ra here. And that's going to be the case. At 1-7, we will just play this right by ADP. I do like Jonathan Taylor a lot here as well, but we'll continue to select Amon-Ra here. I actually selected Amon-Ra in round 1 last night on the FFPC Pros vs. Joes contest. That is a tournament that Fantasy Mojo hosts every year along with the FFPC. Really fun contest, getting fans of the FFPC and drafters over there in the mix with some touts, some fantasy football analysts. I did a kind of a modified 0RB team. Started out with Amon-Ra, Jefferson, and then Devontae Smith fell to me in the late third. It's full point PPR over there. I should post that team on Twitter for you guys. I dropped it in the Ship Chasing Discord last night. But yeah, drafting season is here. Drafting season is officially here. Let's check my combos here with Amon-Ra, St. Brown as we get ready to make our selection in the second round. This is one of my favorite things about the solver tool here. I have Amon-Ra selected. You can see here, I never have paired him with Cook and Barkley because those guys don't typically fall back to the spot where you would have selected Amon-Ra. But then you can see here, I have 12.5% Chase Brown, 25% Achane. I actually have a lot of Derrick Henry with Amon-Ra. He's on over 1/3 of my Amon-Ra teams. So I can always use this combinatorial tool here to kind of get me squared away. Let's see here. Should we try a little bit of a, we haven't done a Brock Bowers Amon-Ra team. Let's have a little fun this morning. Could I have taken Achane? Sure. Could I have done AJ Brown or London? Absolutely. Let's live a little. Only 53 drafts left, 54. Let's get an Amon-Ra and Brock Bowers team here. Hunter, who has been a YouTube member for 37 months, GM. Thank you, sir. Purple Yosh, how excited are you to wrap up so you think you can tout? It's so funny you say that, sir, because the finale, at least from my end, getting all the scripting, getting it all organized, laid out is almost done. It is now time to head over to the editors to really take this thing to life. And I'm so excited for you guys to see it. Like the heights that we reach at this finale, not to be hyperbolic, I didn't envision that we could have stuck the landing in this way. The things that have transpired kind of behind the scenes to get us to where we are in the final, it's just really cool. So it obviously starts with the 3 pitches from the finalists. And then there's a lot of cool stuff coming, a lot of surprises. So yes, we are hard at work on that episode. There's a lot of elements, a lot of loose ends that we have to, cover in that finale. So it's going to take a little while to make sure the editing can, do the service that finale deserves. But yeah, man, I'm so excited with how it turned out, and it has been an absolute blast. All right, we are back on the clock here. All right. Oh my God. This is the thing about taking Bowers, man. McBride falls all the way to 3.7. I don't think I should do McBride here, though. Should I? I've done this build with Kerrane before. Let's do it. Fuck it. Why not? Why not? In hindsight, it's like, I wish I had London or AJ Brown, and then you scoop up the little slide on McBride here. But this will be my second Bowers and McBride team. And I can actually filter to this so I can see it, because I did this one with Pat. And you can see we have Jalen Waddle on this team. We have Cam Scatabo. Maybe I've done this twice then. Yeah, it looks like I've actually done this twice. So I guess I'm a Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, bully tight end bowl. We'll see how this works out. It's probably going to be a disaster, but let's have fun, right? Have a little fun. By the way, if you guys want to get access to this combo tool that I've been looking at, so you too can decide how to navigate your Brock Bowers and Trey McBride, this is all via the solver. You can get your exposures. You can get the solver score, which ties in with the ETR ranks. And then my favorite part, this combinatorial tool, 20% off with promo code Pete. There's a couple different price points depending on the volume you're playing, but highly recommend it here, especially as we enter this stretch where the portfolio is growing and there are a lot of factors to keep straight. Greg says, Pete, can you give us the Travis Hunter better in best ball take? Yeah, absolutely. Travis Hunter is going to be used, at least at the start of the season, in very specific ways, specific packages. The overall route and snap percentages will probably be down relative to what you would be confident starting in a managed league, but there's going to be spikes. They're going to use them in high value situations. And then there's also the chaos of the season where injuries can happen, opportunity pops up. In redraft, knowing when to navigate that, holding him, is he a roster clogger? Does he show up in the fourth quarter and get a goal line package? That sounds like a headache to me in redraft. We're back on the clock here. We have another huge fall. ETN falling to 4.6. I will happily take ETN at this price. Travis Etienne, the running back, Amon-Ra wide receiver, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride at tight end. Matt asking about, so you think you can tout, once the winner is announced, when will their first show be with you? The hope is to get them integrated within the YouTube world as soon as possible. Definitely want to do some shows in August as well. There might be a little prep that needs to go into executing it and making sure everything is looking good and we know exactly what we want to do. But yeah, pretty soon after the announcement. Artillery Frost says the sidekick is down for Bowers McBride now. Yeah, I've seen it, and I did it with Pat on a sidekick team, I want to say about a month or so ago. Chunk the Deuce says he brought a new PC this weekend. Excited to throw some content out there. Excited to see it. If you guys don't remember, Chunk the Deuce was on the Bash. Was that last year? Was it in season? I think so. He's an umpire. He gave us some electric strikeout calls on the show. Bully tight end, is this the Badge Bros Brawl? No, but guess what? Tomorrow on Off and On the Clock, we are going to exclusively cover the Badge Bros Brawl contest, a new contest in the Best Ball lobby. Really unique structure for that contest. All right, what do we want to do here? Man, is this going to be the second time I take Quinshon Judkins despite not liking Quinshon Judkins? I took him last night on that Pros vs. Joes team. The other option would be to do like a Christian Watson, but I have a lot of him. Let's boost up this Judkins stuff. The Judkins stuff is terrifying to me. He is behind the literal worst offensive line in football. You have to imagine they're going to have a ton of trailing game scripts. Dylan Sampson coming on the field. But you absolutely cannot question the workload that is on tap for him. They are going to establish the hell out of the run. They're going to try to take the ball out of the quarterback. When you even look at bell cow usage from last year, I forget who posted it on Twitter. I think it was Jacob Gibbs. I mean, he was like top 5, top 6, just in pure role. I know Nez, too, when we were talking about Judkins, made the case. Like, at this range of the draft, there's only a few of these guys who have the 30-touch upside in a game right now. And Judkins does cover that. So I'm going to be underweight Judkins. He is not my favorite click here. I prefer all of the guys who went ahead of him: Tootin, Swift, Henderson, Bucky. The thing I look at here, though, is the teardrop at running back is pretty stark. And this happened last night in the FFPC contest as well, where Judkins comes off the board. You see all these wide receivers. I think you could make the case that Jadarian Price is a tweener. Is he closer to Judkins or is he closer to Tony Pollard, Jaylen Warren? I think you can have that debate, but even just based on how the ADP shake out, the market is saying there's a very clear tier break here after Judkins. So in this build where I'm going to have to be doing a ton of catch up at multiple positions because of this double tight end start, I'm going to lock up the other running back there. All right, let's see what we're going to do at 6-6. We have ETN, Judkins, only one wide receiver. Man, so Jadarian Price does fall a few picks past ADP. And what am I going to do? Am I going to capitulate to big Parker Washington? The film bros? Hell no. Let's take Jadarian Price. Travis Etienne, Quinshon Judkins, Jadarian Price at running back. Amon-Ra, our lone wide receiver. Brock Bowers, Trey McBride. Let's see if we can pull this off. What do we think? It is really funny because, you know, earlier this offseason, I would say, man, I don't really like my teams that much when I go elite tight end early. You know, you look at them and you're like, man, it means I can't take any of those tight end values later. I box myself out of optionality. The best values in the draft as you progress are often always tight ends. And now I have put myself in a corner, here where I can't take any more tight ends. I guess I can take Charlie Kolar in the 18th round, I guess. But I might as well click off of tight end at this point, because with Bowers and McBride, I have spent all of the available draft capital I can at tight end. I pull out my pockets. There is no more change, no more loose dollar bills available for tight ends. And that just makes things a little trickier, but it makes it exciting. It makes it scary. Let's see if we can do this. Amon-Ra, Bowers, McBride, ETN, Judkins, Price. Yeah, Nick says Ramondre over Judkins, ignore my PFP. I mean, you're kind of speaking to the choir here, man. You've seen me. I love drafting Ramondre. And I really dislike drafting Judkins. So yeah, I think, you know, I asked Nez off and on the clock last week. I said, if you had one single draft that your entire season depended on, would you select Trey McBride or Colston Loveland? Cost is no longer an issue. He said Colston Loveland. I think if you put that gun to my head and you said Ramondre Stevenson or Judkins, one single draft, I'd probably be like, Ramondre. So I get it. I get it for sure. All right. I don't have any ranks in here. I am just drafting off of ADP. This is going to be a team where I need a ton of quantity at wide receiver because I've really neglected it. So let's take a big swing here. I only have 2.5% Mekhi Lemon. He's one of the biggest ranking discrepancies between ETR, between leg up. And this is one where if you are using ETR ranks, you're not going to get a lot of Lemon. He is priced well below or ranked well below this price. ETR much more aggressive. If you've used the Sidekick at all, you'll get suggested Lemon in this range plenty. This feels like a spot to take him. You know, I'm going to be drafting Khalil Shakers and Stephon Diggs and Debo Samuels and Jawan Jennings on a team like this. where I just need to hunt and find targets to try to drag this team to the BBM playoffs. Let's use one of these early swings on a pretty high risk, high reward type player in Makai Lemon. We're talking Justin Jolly. It is too early. It might be 10:21 a.m. I might be a few cups of coffee deep, but it is too early to be discussing Justin Jolly right now. Nick asking, when Best Ball Bros 2026? It's funny you say that. Once I get So You Think You Can tout off my plate, we're going in the lab for Best Ball Bros, and I have some fun ideas. So yes, it will. It always comes out at the end of August, generally. But every year the pressure mounts to try to top the previous year. So I'm gonna be feeling a lot of pressure here. All right, let's man, Godwin and Downs, both of them make a lot of sense here. Let's do Downs. Downs is just a guy, when I listen to sentiment about these two players and kind of how I want to start to break ties in these spots right now, is Downs' ADP feels like a lock to rise. The drumbeat continues to be steady on Josh Downs. It's like every single time you read a report, they want this guy to fill the Pittman void, going to be on the field in 2 wide receiver sets this year, yada, yada, yada. I think he's going to rise, especially if we get more injury bearishness surrounding Alec Pierce. So on that note alone of trying to bank some cheaper Downs before he gets expensive, I think that makes sense. And then the inverse is anytime, like you can go look at some of the comments. The last few times I've drafted Godwin, I'm getting comments, why are you excited about Godwin? Aren't you scared of Godwin? Like people are terrified of Godwin coming off of this injury, even though all the reporting is he's completely good to go, that there's no concerns from him or the team. But again, if we're using that as a sentiment check, a sentiment index, it really feels like Downs is going to rise and Godwin could slip a little bit. Could a guy like Michael Pittman flip Godwin? Could a guy like Worthy flip Godwin? Sure. So I think I'll just try to play the guy I think is going to rise in that spot and take the foot off the gas on the guy who might get cheaper. So now we have Etienne Jr., Judkins, Jadarian Price at running back. We have Amon-Ra, Makai Lemon, and Josh Downs at wide receiver. We have Bowers and Trey McBride. Mahomes is a faller here. I think I need to keep stacking running backs or wide receivers is kind of the issue. No Xavier Worthy. I'm not a huge fan of the... I think I'm going to take Matthew Golden here. I'm going to keep taking big swings. This is a little bit ahead of ADP. It's certainly a reach. I'm letting Menungai go by. But I want to stay aggressive with the wide receivers as I try to catch up after neglecting it for the first 80 picks or whatever. So I do add Matthew Golden there. ADP of 110. I take him at 103. Similar to Josh Downs, I do think he's a guy that could rise a lot. If we just keep hearing the Packers saying what they've already been saying, Golden's the guy in 2 wide receiver sets. He's out there with Watson. I also think we could see the Reed ADP slowly start to dip as that sobering reality kind of hits for drafters, and Matthew Golden inch up a bit. Now, the thing that's going to prevent that from happening is everyone hates Matthew Golden and says Matthew Golden sucks. But do you know who doesn't think Matthew Golden sucks? The Green Bay Packers. And they sound like they are going to be extremely stubborn, at least at the start. And maybe it doesn't work. Maybe he is that god-awful that they have to yank him off the field eventually. But he's going to get cracks at it. And we need to get cracks here at, potential big hits on this team. What's up, Dreaming of Sundays? He says, nice pros versus Joe's draft last night. The FFPC crowd wanted you to take the running back over Justin Jefferson, Evergreen. Yeah, and I thought about it for a half second. Early second round. It is full point PPR. Jefferson slides back to me. I have Amon-Ra, and I'm saying, do I pull up Barkley here or do I select Justin Jefferson? And I said, no. We're going to do Justin Jefferson here. All right, let's get our first quarterback here. I didn't think I had the luxury of like a naked Mahomes at that price. Again, trying to catch up at running back, wide receiver. We have Amon-Ra, though. We have no quarterbacks yet. We know we can also get boxed out of quarterbacks if we're not careful. So Jared Goff, 5 picks past ADP. That pick basically makes itself. Jared Goff, now our lone quarterback, Etienne, Judkins, Price at running back, Amon-Ra, Makai Lemon, Josh Downs, Matthew Golden at wide receiver, And of course, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride at tight end. It feels scary at the start with that Bowers McBride, but I think we're settling in here. I don't feel terrified with this build quite yet. Win Leone. I should get Leone on. I know he's getting back in the saddle, doing some shows. One of the things I'm going to do probably, I don't know if it'll be next week. I'm going to the ship chasing event this weekend. Might be, scrambling to catch up. I'm going to have a lot of things on my plate, but at least a week from Wednesday, or maybe it would be 2 weeks from Wednesday. Yeah. I am going to start adding additional best ball breakfasts to the content calendar for August. So plan to do the Monday, same block, all of the usual faces, Levitan, Sherman, Kerrane. Want to start adding in some Wednesday shows. We'll get people like Leone coming on. We'll get our usual Roto Pat draft. Get a guy like JJ coming on. Anyone that you guys want to see drafting. I even told Liam on the Swolecast on Wednesday, I told Liam, I said, you want to come on and do a show? He was mad at me for a joke I made on the Swolecast a while back, but it's water under the bridge now. We hashed it out on the show. And I think I've mended things with my former chess coach, Chess Liam. All right, we're about to pick at 11-7. Staring me in the face right there is Khalil Shakir. But this also feels like a good spot to potentially grab another running back here. This is kind of a big tier break for me when I look at Aaron Jones and Chris Rodriguez as far as running backs. I have 7.9% Aaron Jones, 6.6% Chris Rodriguez. Let's just play the ADP. Aaron Jones is the faller here. I essentially am drafting the same team I drafted last night on Pros vs. Joes. It had Judkins. It had Aaron Jones. It had Amon-Ra. But yeah, we get our fourth running back there. Etienne Jr., Judkins, Price, Aaron Jones. That's a good base. Maybe we tack on a fifth. Look at this tight end run here. Kyle Pitts goes at 109. And then there's a little bit of a lull. And then it goes Ferguson, Kincaid, Kelsey, Likely, Kittle. Bam, 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 bam. Did I have that right? 5 bams. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, Taras says, isn't Downs more likely to fall if Indiana signs a free agent wide receiver? I think so. And I think it would depend on it, right? If they sign Keenan, for sure, Downs will fall. If they don't, or we get really close to the season and they don't make a move, like he is going to slowly inch up. But it's a good point. That's probably the thing that will prevent him from moving right now is just the fear. And really, it is Keenan Allen who is the one I'm most concerned about. And the thing I've discussed with that down situation that's so frustrating is they would bring in Keenan Allen theoretically to shore up their lack of Alec Pierce early on in the season, being like, we just need another body. Unfortunately, Alec Pierce or Keenan Allen overlaps so directly with what Josh Downs does that would be a major buzzkill. And this feels like the perfect spot to grab Stephon Diggs. This is the exact kind of player I knew I was going to need. I miss out on Shakir. Diggs falls 5 picks past ADP to be my wide receiver 5 here. Amon-Ra, Lemon, Downs, Golden, Diggs. I do need to huddle real quick about my quarterback plan. But with Daniel Jones with Downs, we have that option. We have Mendoza with Bowers. That's an option. But we don't want to get too boxed out here. This really is a tight rope walk when you are doing the double tight end because there's so many different things you're trying to accomplish. Build out the wide receiver room, build out the running back room, make sure that you get the quarterbacks in the window so you're not having to contemplate a Carson Beck versus Shadur Sanders decision at the end of the draft. It's not the most comfortable build, but I'm having some fun with it. All right, do I have breaking news here? Brissett signed a deal. Brady Betts is excited about this Bowers McBride build. Love to hear it. Artillery Frost, yes, we will definitely be getting some of the touts on for the Wednesday Best Ball Breakfasts. Man, every time I say that, that is just a rough turn of phrase. Breakfasts. As Pete Bully tied into Overzet, can you give us your take on why it will definitely work? I mean, I can lie why I don't, in my heart of hearts, think it'll definitely work. How it works is that Brock Bowers has a legendary season, a la old school Travis Kelce, Jimmy Graham, scorches the earth, scores like a high-end wide receiver one. And Trey McBride runs back what he did last year, which is just a rock solid tight end one season. And you essentially are giving yourself 2 outs in the best ball playoffs specifically to really separate from your pod. Because that's the name of the game, right? You think about week 15 last year, and I am going to let the clock bleed as I select Daniel Jones here to stack up with Josh Downs. But last year, there was that dynamic in week 15 where Kyle Pitts went nuclear. Now, he wasn't an elite tight end, but what was the one thing that saved your ass, that gave you a chance to advance last year, that wasn't Kyle Pitts in week 15? It was Trey McBride, who scored, I want to say, 25 points of his own. And because he closed that gap, and he's one of the few tight ends that you can actually safely predict has the ability to close that gap with the outlier tight end score. That's the thesis of these guys, is that you get the type of score that only a few of these guys can put up, and that separates you in the pod. And then the bully tight end element comes in. Say Bowers goes for 28. Say he goes for 30 in week 15. Guess what? You're showing up to your week 16 pod in Best Ball Mania, where one of 14 teams or one of 12 will advance. Those 11 other pod mates, you're going to have a ton of Brock Bowers in that room. You'll probably have 50%, 55% Brock Bowers. You're now holding hands with all of the other Brock Bowers drafters. Well, guess what? Now Trey McBride comes in, and they're looking around at the room. They're looking at these pods, and they're saying, wait, you have Trey McBride and Brock Bowers? And I say, yeah, it was July 27th, just any other normal Monday morning. And on Best Ball Breakfast, I decided why not? And then you get the separating score from Trey McBride, Brock Bowers flames out, and you waltz to the finals having ping-ponged massive outlier tight end scores between Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. That's the thesis. That's the story of how it works. Do I actually believe that? No, but it's a cool story. 2 picks away here. We at least got our second quarterback. I think we'll probably... Wow, someone already took Mendoza? Who's out here taking Mendoza at 158? Inquest? Jeez. What do we want to do here? This might actually be a spot where I might just grab Rodgers. I might just grab Rodgers here. I don't feel comfortable with a Goff Jones 2 quarterback build. There's plenty of stuff I can do late with Rodgers. Let's go ahead and grab that third quarterback. It's 15 picks past ADP, but I look at the board here. Pacheco, Coleman, Sharbs, Algier, Bigsby, Trey Harris. I mean, this is the no man's land territory of the draft board where I'm willing to throw ADP out the window and make the selections that can make this team work. So the Brissett deal, shout out to producer Mark for dropping this in the production chat. Jacoby Brissett agreed to a new 1-year, $15.5 million deal with the Cardinals with a chance to get $21 million. Now, I'll be interested to see what, Dwayne does at Fantasy Life, what the projections team at ETR does with this. I don't think that contract meaningfully changes the projected starts for Jacoby Brissett. I know over at Fantasy Life, we had him projected for around 11 starts, assuming Beck taking over around 12 or 13. I think if anything, this just gives us the confidence he's going to be the week 1 starter because you worry about the holdout stuff. If it gets messy, whatever, there's some risk there. But we now feel good about him starting the season. We feel good about him as an eliminator pick, but I don't think this should change anything about making him a more viable Best Ball Mania selection. There's still a ton of late season risk here. All right, let's see here. Do I just select Jeremy Bernard for the millionth time? I think we probably do. I mean, this is an Aaron Rodgers team. I'm probably not going to take Pat Freiermuth because I'm already loaded up at tight end. I cannot believe the amount of Jeremy Bernard I have. But this was a time that actually made sense. Although I feel like I say that after every time I click him. Jeremy Bernard stacked up with Aaron Rodgers through 15 rounds, a 3-4-6-2. Goff, Dimes, Rodgers, ETN, Judkins, Price, Aaron Jones, Amon-Ra, Mekhi Lemon, Josh Downs, Matthew Golden, Stephon Diggs, Jeremy Bernard, Brock Bowers, Trey McBride. Daniel's tilting his RNG on underdog through 58 drafts, and I've gotten the 102 once. Tilting on my lack of Bijan Robinson this year. I hear you, brother. I hear you. Chat is firing this morning. Trying to catch up here. Scrolling. Give a Daddy a Spike says, you and I will both live and die by the Jeremy Bernard sword. It feels like it will probably be death, but we at least had fun doing it. So let's look at the end game here. We have 3 more picks. 3-4-6-2. Good at quarterback, good at tight end. Probably looking at 2 more wide receivers to get us to 8th and probably a fifth running back, right? Are there any other correlated angles to think about here? Detroit is tapped out. Indianapolis is tapped out unless you're like, what's his name? DJ Giddens guy. I think Sean Tucker here makes sense. Or I could do my guy Jaden Blue. I could do my guy Marshawn Lloyd. Let's do Lloyd. Sam Sherman's not here. He always likes drafting Lloyd. I have a hard time parsing all these guys. Tucker, Ray Davis, Lloyd, Jaden Blue. I like all of them to varying degrees, but we do have Matthew Golden on this team. Let's make another Green Bay bet here. And we'll add Marshawn Lloyd as our 5th running back, and then we'll probably look at 2 wide receivers here to close it out. Purple Yosh, I have so much Bernard, all a big projection is on him. And that's part of the reason I get there too, right? I think the Mekhi Lemon stuff is a fun example of when there's huge discrepancies, and then you're trying to figure out how to balance that within your own portfolio, those kind of 2 wildly different inputs or data points from 2 respected sources. But when I look at the fantasy life stuff, when I look at the ETR stuff, when I look at the leg up stuff, and they all say Jeremy Bernard is undervalued, a guy who's going to be in 3 wide receiver sets on a team that's going to throw the ball a bunch. Yeah, seems like a good rookie click to make. Uh-oh, here they come. I knew we were going to find something. Not a fan with 3 wide receivers with the same buy. You're right. Quinshon Judkins, Jadarian Price, Marshawn Lloyd. I did it. I messed it up. I had the perfect, absolutely perfect Brock Bowers and Trey McBride team, and I ruined it. All right, we're grabbing wide receivers here. One of the things that I've been trying to do, these solver suggestions for wide receiver are hilarious too. Man, this is probably a Calvin Ridley team, right? I mean, we're going to do one fun pick, but we need another Stephon Diggs ass pick, a Cooper Kupp ass pick. Let's do Calvin Ridley at pick 199. A dare I say, eat your vegetables pick. You know what? I was about to go on a Jalen Noel little monologue there, and then he goes off the board, so I can't even take him. Are you consuming Coach Speak Index content or just absorbing via Pat and others? No, man, I have to, for the Fantasy Life newsletter, I have my list with all of the news aggregators. I have Coach Speak Index in there. I have Zane, who's doing the Lord's work now on Twitter, aggregating a bunch of additional beat reporter content. I'm in the Coach Speak Index Discord, checking his team blurbs. I'm in it, man. Yes, I was guilty of not being a best ball bro there for a little while this summer, but now I'm fucking in it. We are in deep. Nathan says I should view Ridley a little more positively from a fun standpoint. He said he had the highest ADOT in the NFL in 2024. That's fun. It was also 3 fucking years ago. All right, let's figure out what do we want to do here. Probably another rookie. So it's probably Ted Hurst or Keenan Allen. Let's see if there's any correlated things here. I mean, Keenan's opposite Chicago in week 17. Is there anything with Tampa? I didn't do the Tucker thing. Let's do the Keenan. I'm trying to think here. Atlanta bringbacks, Indiana's Cleveland. We already have that. Yeah, let's do Keenan. All right. Let's see how we did. This was always going to be an experiment. Could we pull off the Brock Bowers, Trey McBride build? You guys are going to let me know. And knowing how harsh you guys are as graders, I have a feeling what you're going to say. I think I need a coffee pour here before we do this. And I don't know, those of you who took the higher on 2.5 coffee pours, not looking good. All right, I'm gonna pull up right before landing. I'm gonna leave a little coffee slop in there for the higher bettors. Oh yeah, Ryan caught me. Keaton is opposite Detroit in week 17. No, we do not know that yet. You know what? Who he's probably opposite? Cleveland. I looked at the Chicago and I immediately went back to Keenan Allen on Chicago. You got me. You got me. You're right. I don't know. I don't know yet. But I will say this. On the Daniel Jones team, we're covering our ass. We have both Josh Downs and Keenan Allen. So there we go. All right, let's recap this team. And let's see if I can remember the week 17 correlations this time. This is Best Ball Mania draft number 96. We are 2 coffee pours deep. We have just added a Brock Bowers, Trey McBride team to our BBM portfolio. Bully tight end. Bully tight end. We're just going to call this, yeah. What do we do? What was it? A 3-5-8-2 bully. Bully. Okay, here we go. Let's recap this. Let's talk it out. Let's be honest with ourselves. Jared Goff, Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers. Travis Etienne Jr., Quinshon Judkins, Jadarian Price, Aaron Jones, Marshawn Lloyd. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mekhi Lemon, Josh Downs, Matthew Golden, Stephon Diggs, Jeremy Bernard, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen. And of course, the cherry on top, the creme de la creme, Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. What do we think? What do we think? Be honest. And yes, the bye week bros can come after me. 3 running backs with week 11 buys. I get it. If that's what prevents you from liking this team, I can't tell you how to feel. Those are your feelings. Those are your emotions. You're entitled to them. Let's see what the solver says here. Slightly below on ADP value, decent draft capital value. We do have some nice week 17, of course, the elite tight end bowl between Brock Bowers and Trey McBride. We have the Daniel Jones, Josh Downs, and potentially Keenan Allen opposite Quinshon Judkins. And we have the sexiest and the most fun of all potential week 17 matchups. Aaron Rodgers to Jeremy Bernard and that Calvin Ridley massive A-dot on the bringback. So yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I mean, it really is an exercise in balancing so many different things. Do you have enough wide receiver firepower when you're not prioritizing more than one pick, through 6 rounds? Can you not fall behind at running back? You can't do a 0 RB build when you go elite tight end because you also need those roster spots for quarterbacks. Like it's a really tricky thing to box yourself out of one position for essentially the entire draft. But I think we pulled it off. We got nice values on the running backs. Etienne, Judkins, Price, Jones, all slightly behind ADP. We got nice values on 2 of the quarterbacks, Goff and Jones. So to get ADP fallers that also stack up with 2 of our top 3 wide receivers, that broke pretty cleanly. This is such a funny question. Do you bring guys on like Levitan on to try and learn from good drafters or just for content? What's the meme? Why not both? Absolutely, dude. I would say the arc of my entire channel has been bringing on smart people to get better at fantasy football. When I first started out this channel, I was reviewing my GPP lineups, my salary cap lineups on DraftKings, I mean redacted, and I was awful at it. And then I met Brick75. We started doing lulls. He taught me a ton. We started doing the tilt space, me, Joe Holka, and Mike Leone. I learned a ton from those guys. And then I started bringing on smart guests for my Friday shows, guys like JM to Win, most recently Uticow, obviously my Best Ball Breakfast guests over the years, Sean Siegel, Pat Kerrane. All of these guys I consider to be the best of the best at what they do. And I think people, you tell me, I assume the audience wants to watch the best of the best. And then I get to provide a really good show in a vehicle for the best of the best to share their ideas, while I also get to become a better fantasy player as well. So yes, I would say it's both, sir. I'll take a solid B on this. Those wide receivers can get this to a B+ or higher. Yeah, we definitely need some things to break right. I will say this. I do think we have the potential for some good CLV on this team. Keenan, Diggs. I do think Golden and Downs can rise. Yeah, I've seen some people mentioning that Mahomes fork in the road. My issue with the Mahomes thing is I do really think that would have ended up being a naked Mahomes team, right? Let me look at this specifically to see if I'm wrong. So it would have been Mahomes at 103. And then I would have had to have taken, I probably still would have taken Goff at 114. I don't think I would have come off that. And then Kelsey would have come off the board there. So then I'm sitting with naked Mahomes, which again, I've debated this with Pat. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I understand how it could still work out. But to me, knowing I had Daniel Jones, knowing that Mendoza I thought would be available at this pick, 162, he ends up going 158. I knew I had some quarterback outs there. And again, it goes back to that idea of like, what are the objectives you're trying to accomplish in a draft? And I thought I didn't have the luxury for a one-off naked quarterback there that I wasn't going to be able to stack. I guess I could have done my Tyquan Thornton thing at the end. But with Goff, Jones, and Rodgers, I think that's fine. It's not, again, not the sexiest quarterback room. People aren't going to be going crazy for it. But I don't know if that Mahomes 2v2 actually makes this team better. Because now you're looking at, it's probably Mahomes and a Stribling. You know, Debo goes one pick after. But let's just put it in that ballpark. Mahomes and Stribling versus Golden and Rodgers. So, yeah, I don't know. But I hear you. Definitely could have had a little better QB1 there. Please note the Badge Bros were not mentioned as the best of the best. Here's the thing, John. I know you thrive on bulletin board material. I've heard behind the scenes when you feel slighted, when you're not included, and then I see you rise to the occasion. And if you really want to be the best of the best, John, you better start getting cracking on these masterclass updates. So consider this me lighting that flame underneath your ass. You get those masterclass updates in, and I'll include you with the best of the best. There it is. There's Eggers. This team stinks. Was Eggers in this draft? Who was in this draft? JGFC was. This is kind of a move that JGFC would normally do, the Bowers McBride. He goes May, Caleb, and Dart, and gets Kittle and Goddard. I like that team, JGFC. Crutches was in this one from the 12. Has Hampton, Walker, Higgins, Waddle, Tyson. Protecting the integrity of the contest by not letting Burrow slide back to the Chase drafter. Thank you. Lee wanting to talk about this Nabers situation. It's been kind of a big debate of how much we index on this quote that he could avoid PUP. When you read even the initial quotes from Jordan Renan from the Giants beat report, even when he had talked about the initial thing that he might not be fully ready by week 5 or 6, he wasn't even saying that he was for sure going to be on PUP. He was just saying, I don't see him at 100% until week 5 or 6. So I think a lot of these quotes are getting distorted. It doesn't mean that it's not going to change the market. That first Jordan quote moved Nabers down. Now this subsequent quote about him potentially not going on PUP is moving him up. He goes pick 29 here. It's not the fun answer, but the truth's probably in the middle. But at the very least, if you get opportunities to take Malik Nabers in the early 4th, you probably should from a CLV perspective right now, assuming you're in on Nabers just holistically, because he's only going to get more expensive if we get positive news. But it could be really swingy, right? We could get the report again that, oh, actually he is showing up on PUP. Oh, actually, he is hobbling around here at training camp. So I don't know. I don't fucking know. I'm going to be light on Nabers this year from like an overall portfolio standpoint. I guess if I could draw my dream exposure to Nabers, probably like 5 to 6%, but it'll be determined on the price. To me, it's really hard. Like you look at this board right here. Nabers goes pick 29. Garrett Wilson goes 46. I don't know, man. That seems like, give me the Garrett Wilson side of that every day. I mean, this Love Wilson, like getting Garrett Wilson in the late 4th paired with Jeremiah Love, Chase London, like that looks nice. So I don't know. It's just, yes, we all agree Nabers is a special talent, but does that risk, is it enough to outweigh getting a guy who's also really talented like Garrett Wilson almost a round and a half later, and you get to sidestep all the injury risk? I don't know. So yeah, I'm still going to be very much circling Nabers in draft, seeing if I can get some good prices, but 29 is a little rich for my blood. Do you ever stack Mahomes with Tyreek Hill? I think I did, like during the big board, but I mean, what's the latest on Tyreek Hill? It's like he can't even walk. I mean, the Tyreek Hill stuff seems absolutely Jover. What are these reports here? I mean, they're talking about his landing spots. I don't know what website I'm on right now. Horseshoe Heroes. What was the report I saw? Oh, yeah. Tyreek Hill says that he still has no power in his left leg. That seems vaguely concerning to me. No power. And sorry, Horseshoe Heroes, I'm not signing up for your newsletter. So yeah, I'm not in the business of stacking Tyreek Hill. If you want to do the free agent thing, do Keenan Allen late. He's at least someone who's going to play. What does this mean for LeBron's legacy? I mean, I wrote in the Fantasy Life newsletter on Saturday that LeBron wasn't even the biggest signing for Philadelphia this offseason. It was actually the trade for Dontayvion Wicks. And I made the case. Dontayvion Wicks is making more money than LeBron James this year. LeBron signed a 2-year deal for $8 million. Wicks signed a 1-year deal worth $12.5 million with $9 million guaranteed. The Sixers are about plus 1,000 to win the title. Eagles are plus 1,400. James is a stone cold lock for the Hall of Fame. And Nick Sirianni recently compared Wicks to Keenan Allen, who, let's be honest, borderline Hall of Fame. I mean, it's basically the exact same signing. LeBron and Wicks to Philly. Groovy Greg, what about Kittle going on the PUP? You've been the biggest George Bull I've seen. Thoughts? Yeah, I hate that he's going to get cheaper, but I still think he's a smash pick. I think he's an absolute smash pick. You always want to get the best possible price on these guys, but we know, right? The market will always count and double count these things. And again, this is training camp PUP, right? It's not locking you in to missing games in season. They can come in and off of this whenever they need to. But yeah, Kittle's dropping already, and I will be buying. And I don't even think I have as much Kittle as I would like right now. Let's go see how much Kittle I have across these teams. Yeah, I have 7.7%. So I will be slurping up that Dipperino. Go AZ Cards asking about the touts. Will you have a live stream winner reveal with the 3 finalists? The winner will be revealed in the episode. LeBron, the ring chaser. I was kind of shocked. Like, I'm not an NBA bro. I was talking to Zakarian. I was surprised that they still weren't like even the clear faves out of the East, that the Knicks are still right there with them. Obviously the Thunder. I mean, that's an insane starting lineup there. I mean, VJ, Edgecombe, and LeBron together. LeBron entering his 24th season is insane. Absolutely insane. I mean, what was it? Was it 2003 when LeBron entered the league? Let's see. Yeah, 2003. I was just wrapping up my sophomore year of high school, and I'm old as shit. My sophomore year of high school when LeBron entered the league, and this dude is still playing. Unreal. Unreal. Wow. Now I've riled up the NBA corner of the chat. Philly ain't doing shit, says the Tub Productions. Bunch of bones and dust. Can I start using that for when I draft an old wide receiver? Calvin Ridley ain't doing shit. Bunch of bones and dust. Keenan Allen ain't doing shit. Bunch of bones and dust. Aaron Rodgers ain't doing shit. Bunch of bones and dust. Travis Kelce ain't doing shit. Bunch of bones and dust. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. Bones to bones. '96 draft in the books. We'll have Levitan joining here in a second. I should get everything ready. I need to get everything ready for Levitan. Need to get this house in order. Let's see. Is this the right overlay here? Once Levitan's here, we get right down to business. We get right down to business. No fucking around. Are we good here? All right. We're good. We're good. We're ready for Levitan. Let's get the banner ready. This will be what? Draft number 97 with Adam Levitan. Let's get the banner ready. If you guys tuned in late, I did mention some of the schedule for this week at the top of the show. We are going to have tomorrow, off and on the clock, noon Eastern, we're going to be covering the Badge Bros Brawl. Have you guys seen this one in the lobby? 6-person drafts, 100K to first. The advanced rate structure, 1 of 6, 1 of 5, 1 of 5, 375-person final. This is the ultimate scroll down contest. Because, what, only a third of the players that are typically drafted are drafted? Or sorry, half, right? 18 rounds, but only 6 drafters instead of 12. So half of the players drafted. Well, what would that be? Is it like 216, 108 players drafted? So you can have some fun with the scrolls in this one. We're going to talk through it all tomorrow. We'll have ADP chasing tomorrow night. We'll have Swolecast tomorrow, of course. Wednesday, ship chasing with Ben Gretsch. Wednesday night, After Dark with Mike Shope. Excited to catch up with Mike Shope, the voice of the Buffalo Bills in the adult of ADP chasing is how I would describe him. And then Thursday, the Best Ball Bash, followed by the randomizer with Evan Silva. And then I'm off to Austin for the ship chasing meetup. Excited to hang out with the ship chasers. If you are in Austin, we are going to have a public meetup on Saturday night. You can hit me up, shoot me a message. I'll get you guys details, but we will be heading to dinner, and anyone's welcome for that. Some of the other festivities Festivities are available to just the Ship Chasing YouTube members, but we will have a meetup Saturday night. That's August 1st. If you are around Austin and want to hang out with us. Peter Overzet ain't winning shit. Bones and dust. Mr. Pittsburgh, how dare you say that to me after I drafted Aaron Rodgers and Jeremy Bernard for the 40th fucking time? I mean, don't even start with me, Matic. You guys see this guy's Terrence Ferguson exposure on Twitter? Did you guys see this yesterday? I couldn't believe it. I could not. I mean, I can believe it, but I still couldn't believe it. I'm just having a nice Sunday, scrolling through, and this guy posts his exposures. Let me bring my guest on here, Adam Levitan. Levitan, I'm scrolling through. Davis Maddock. He had clicked Terrence Ferguson 432 times this summer, and then need to have one more. And we're not even to the heart of drafting season yet.
How does he do that many drafts?
I don't know, man. Good question. 433 Terrence Ferguson shares.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Also, this is not, I'm thrown because this is not the recommended solver best ball exposure tool. I don't know what this nonsense is, but this is not the approved tool.
You know what? This is the Flock Fantasy tool. The devs are still working really hard on being able to display more than half of the first name. Davis has submitted a bug fix for that, but it is fun because I saw, you see some of these names here. I saw Kenneth and I was like, this could be Gainwell or it could be Walker. But then I remembered it was Davis Maddock, the world's biggest Chiefs fan. And I knew it was Kenneth Walker there. How are you doing, buddy? How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Glad to be back. Yeah, I'm doing well.
Awesome. Obviously a lot, you shared a lot since, you left, I believe, when you were on the show. I don't think the audience kind of knew what you were going through. Do you want to, how have things been? I'm sure people are curious how you're holding up, how you're feeling.
Yeah.
How things been going.
Well, when I got to the hospital on Tuesday, the 14th, the nurse asked me, she was like, oh, it's a big day. What'd you do yesterday, Monday, the 13th? And I said, oh, I actually did best ball breakfast with my friend Pete Overzet.
No,
Are you familiar with the show? She wasn't, shockingly, but she was like, man, I'm really glad you spent your last day before surgery doing best ball breakfast. It's what you love to do. So yes, that was the highlight. No, I feel 100%. And yeah, I'll have a little update on Market Monday today. But yeah, I really appreciate everyone who reached out for sure. And yeah, I feel 100% and I'm good. Yeah, I don't need any more procedures or anything. So yeah, I'm good.
Beautiful. Well, very happy to hear that. And I know everybody appreciated you kind of sharing all of that in that video. You guys can also check it out in the solo pod feed as well.
You know what's crazy, dude? Like, I know you're kind of into it too, but like everybody I know is into this health stuff, like hardcore. And so I kind of went into it assuming that people knew about all this stuff. Everybody who sent me a message like had not only never done a lot of these scans or thought about this stuff at all, they hadn't even like heard of it. You know what I mean? So God, it's like just so early. It's just what was the saying in Top Shot? We're so early or something like that.
We're in the first inning. We haven't even left the locker room. We're still slapping.
We haven't even left the locker room. Exactly.
Well, and there's some of the stuff too, right? With like the colonoscopy, you can pay out of pocket for it before you're 40 or you wait, and like I'm in the spot where I turn 40 next year and it's like, yeah, I should just sack up and pay for it now. Like what imagine like pinching pennies to wait a year for that.
Yeah. I think people, it's not just the money thing. I think people like don't want their asshole invaded, which I understand, but you're out the whole time. Like while your asshole is being invaded, you're just stone cold out. I was out for 3 hours for this surgery. It was fucking crazy. Like, yeah, it's crazy being out, man. It's
Did you have some wild dreams?
I don't remember, but when I woke up, I thought the nurse was Lauren, and I tried to like hug the nurse. It was a whole thing.
hopefully you didn't think you were still in the locker room slapping asses when you came out. Jeez. They're like, why did I wake up in a straitjacket? Well, someone was trying to play grab ass with the nurse, thinking it was his wife. All right, Levitan. I mean, we can't joke around anymore. I have to set the queue. We're drafting from the 1-7 here. I also need to get ETR ranks loaded here, but I assume we can navigate this first pick. CMC, Jonathan Taylor, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson. What do you want to do from 107?
Yeah, I don't typically see a CMC get to 7. I almost always see him go 5 or 6, so I would take CMC here.
Yeah, let's do CMC. Yeah, I want to say maybe it was everything blurs together at this point, but I believe you had been talking about CMC a bit too, right? Did you have a take like if we knew he was healthy the whole year, you'd have him 103, 102 or whatever?
Oh, projection wise, yeah, I would still take Gibbs over McCaffrey, even if you guaranteed me 17 games, I think. But for sure, from a math perspective, CMC would be the number one pick if we were guaranteeing 17 games with no further regression. I mean, yeah, by the way, I was like reading the 49ers practice report yesterday, and they were like, Christian McCaffrey was at practice on the first day and looking really spry. He's not allowed. He had 450 touches last year. He is not allowed to be at training camp and practicing and looking good. He's actually dead. He had 450 touches last year. So it was good to see him out there on the first day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's also, I forget, I think I saw it was Sam Sherman, tweeting about it too, of like how we think about outliers, right? And this idea like CMC, one of the ultimate outliers, where it's like some of these age curves and some of these things specifically with their skill set just do not apply to them. All right, I'm setting the queue here. Achane, AJ Brown, London, Bowers, Nico. Who do you like at 2-6?
Are these our ranks?
This is ADP. I'm going to upload them here in a sec.
I believe we have Drake London as the pick here, but I would be fine with AJ Brown also, whatever you prefer there.
London's good here. I will get the ranks uploaded, and we can get the reveal of if we had this right. Let's see here. The ETR ranks do have Drake London. Yeah, you guys have it. Walker, then London, Chase Brown, AJ Brown, Hampton, Achane. So London over Brown, AJ Brown, Hampton, and Achane, which is definitely against ADP there.
Yeah, it's so tight there. I mean, if we move like 0.25%, like that stuff would change. And sometimes I go running back there just for like structural reasons, but I think these are fine to mix in for sure. And like, you don't have to take Drake London where we have him. He consistently goes, 20, 21. I've seen even later than that.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it a little bit on stream where London it's like all of these other guys, like you can have some pretty intense conversations about Achane, AJ Brown in a new environment, Hampton, whatever. Like London is just the most boring from a discourse standpoint. And so I feel like he just kind of gets overlooked, where it's like, you just kind of know what you're going to get from this guy.
Yeah. I mean, like if anybody can go out on a given week and be like, oh, wow, he got 40% of the targets this week. It's like, yeah, Drake London their wide receiver 2 situation is so laughable. I mean, they're trying to talk up like Jahan Dotson and Zacchaeus, and Branch is like 170 pounds. I mean, yeah, it should be a monster target year for Drake London.
All right, CMC Drake London. We have the ETR ranks loaded in here. What are you doing with this Trey McBride fall? I've been noticing him. I just did a Bowers McBride team because he fell so far in the 3rd.
Yeah, I get it, but I'm fine with it. I also think like the Loveland hype has people waiting on McBride more. It's not just that they prefer Bowers. It's also like, oh, I can get Loveland round plus later, sometimes 2 rounds later. But yeah, I mean, if he falls here, I'm fine taking it.
All right. The queue are ETR ranks. The main board is sorted by ADP. Trey McBride, Chris Olave, Kyron Williams, the top 3 in both. Or do you have someone off the board of those 3 you'd be interested in?
It's hard for me to tell without actually being on the sticks myself, but it would be, it would probably, honestly, here, I if you were behind on Nabers, I would consider taking Nabers in this spot.
Okay, I want to do that because I want to have that talk, because obviously he was a big talking point over the weekend. I was talking about how some of those quotes I feel have been over-indexed in both directions. The initial Jordan Raanan about him not be ready till 5 or 6, and now most recently avoiding pup. So it sounds like you're more on the side of believing that he is maybe more ahead of schedule than initially thought.
I'm going to talk about this on Market Monday, but I think the fact that he is not going on active/pup suggests that the Giants expect him to play sometime in weeks 1 through 4. I'm not even worried about that, though. The fact that they expect him to play in weeks 1 through 4 makes it more likely he is 100% for late November, December. And that's what I care about most. And so, especially in these large field things, if they're going to say he has a chance to play in September, well, they better damn well think that he's going to be close to 100% November, December. And so that's why I think he should be moving up. I think we got him up, somewhere higher in the 30s, on DraftKings, even higher for the full PPR stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, right now in the ranks, you guys have him just after Devontae Smith, but before Javonte Williams and Zay Flowers. So that's a pretty big shift, at least from where he was falling in drafts for a while.
Yeah. I mean, and also, like, I'm trying to catch up. Like, I got some in the 40s, but I think I was at like 4 or 5%. It was all at really good prices, 40, mid 40s, stuff like that. But, I if he's going to be 100%, that late third round price, I think is good.
All right. We have Christian McCaffrey, Drake London, Nabers. We're about to pick at 4-6. By ADP, it's the Tetaroya, Waddle, Scatabo. We are on the clock. By rank, it's, of course, the Devontae Adams. You do have Loveland and McLaurin there. As far as ETR rank, what do you think?
Yeah, I think McLaurin there to set up the Jaden stuff. We are considering moving up Josh Jacobs. I just want to note that I know he went before us, but like the more time goes past without news on Josh Jacobs, we're just going to keep moving him up a little and little. So if you are using ETR ranks, just like we're constantly tweaking stuff before you draft, please make sure you upload.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too, of like, and I remember, I don't know if it was talking with Dank on the show or maybe from the Established the Ed pods, where they were even talking about some of these free agent situations where you keep some share available for a potential signing and then like slowly getting rid of that stuff as we inch forward, where it basically has to be a drip situation. Because I don't know, like if it's not till the end of August that some of this stuff materializes, it's like, well, then you don't have any time to draft or load up on Josh Jacobs. So I think seeing him move up even in your ranks is kind of a helpful indicator to people of like, yeah, the value should be increasing right now.
For sure. And we have unlisted wide receiver, a lot of it in Washington. Like if we were not expecting Diggs or someone like that to sign with Washington, we would have McLaurin higher, and like guys like Antonio Williams and Chig, I think are affected more by a potential Diggs signing, but I still like McLaurin.
That was my thought. Like, I understand that the projection would slightly change, but it's like he feels so insulated to a signing here. About to pick at 5-7 by rank, DJ Moore, Christian Watson, Price, Bucky. We got the running back, 3 wide receivers by ADP. Hendo's also in the mix here. Who of those 4 do you like?
I would probably go Watson, and then if we miss on Jaden, we have a nice stack available. We have the Dart stuff, but we would have Love also. Yeah.
Yep. And then where it sounds like you're kind of out on like Hendo and Bucky.
We could have gone there. Yeah. Okay. The Bucky stuff scares me a little bit more than I'm just like, I still have bad vibes on Bucky, and I still think that Gainwell is going to play most of the passing downs, and Tucker's a threat at the goal line. So I think Bucky's price is like fairish now, but he's gonna have to earn it for sure. Hendo, yeah, we definitely could have taken Hendo there. We definitely could have.
It was interesting. I was looking at, and you guys did the pod with Brandon Thorne, looking at offensive line, and I was looking at his ranks. I mean, what does he have? Tampa Bay as like a top 2, top 3 unit. Yeah. And it's like, man, it's very risky, but there's also the paths to like just a smash by Bucky at this cost.
Yeah. I mean, he was so good as a rookie. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a great feel on that at all. We are moving Sean Tucker down a little bit. I kind of think Sean Tucker's not going to play that much unless one of those guys gets hurt. So we did make a small move last night on Sean Tucker.
Do you think Tucker still gets some of those like standalone goal line carries?
Maybe if it's like actually on the one. I don't know. I'm always hesitant to say teams that are definitely going to do that, because when a guy's running well, just be like, oh, actually, by the way, we're at the 2 now, come out. Like it doesn't happen like that often. Yeah.
Which becomes really interesting for his price in best ball, like you said, because if he has some standalone value, then he's like a solid pick. But if he's a true 0 as a running back 3, then he becomes like a very bad pick. we set up the Daniels thing. I assume we're just smashing Daniels here.
Yeah, we don't have a choice. I mean, solver score. Anytime the solver score is like 10 versus the next one is a 7, that's a pretty good idea that you have to take that.
Well, the solver was even suggesting we could have taken Daniels in round 5.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to ask you about Price. He's been another one in the news a little bit as far as like parsing where his development's at, what his role could look like. How are you feeling about him?
Yeah. So I think that George Holani is going to play like most of the passing and hurry up situations. This like pounder role, kind of like this like base-ish role that Kenneth Walker had last year. I think Price will open the season with that. The concern to me on the Price stuff is like, it's backwards. You know, he's supposed to be, as a rookie, like building towards a bigger role at the end. And then you're going to get Charbonnet back. Now, I think the point that Gretsch made on the ETE pod was like, well, if Price is actually, you know, what you're betting on, he actually goes nuts early. Yeah. Then they're not just going to like send him to the bench in favor of Charbonnet. But I'm just a little queasy on it. Cause what if he's just like, okay at first, and then we already saw them play Charbonnet over a very, 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 very good player in Kenneth Walker. So I know it's a different coordinator and everything, but yeah, I think where Price goes is around right. Like I take him in the early 60s. Like I think that's roughly right.
All right, let's load up the queue here. Per Adam Levitan's writer demands for every best ball breakfast, the queue must have at least 5 players in advance of a selection. I don't think we're really interested in any of the quarterbacks at this pick. Metcalf, Tucker Kraft, Addison, Alec Pierce, Jaden Reed.
God, yeah. Can I see running back? I want to do some of these teams because like maybe this is the year. Yeah, I pass on all those, I think.
Chuba, Harvey, Rico. Yeah.
Yeah. I also think we might, I don't want to say bad news, but like I think Tucker Kraft's ADP could continue to sink here. So I probably wouldn't do that. I would probably try to set up the Love double here.
With Reed.
With Reed, yeah.
Yeah. And my only concern with builds like this is mainly just, you know, once we get to 5 wide receivers here, we maybe have room for one more. It just kind of forces us to the other 3 positions the rest of the draft.
Yeah. And I do want to do some of these though, because my point is like the last 2 years, why it's been running back staying healthy and wide receivers getting hurt. 2 years ago, it was like really outlier skewed towards wide receiver. So like some of these builds I want to have that like are going to work if it's a really bad year for running back injuries, you know? So yeah, we're going to have a bunch of 1 injury away and 0 RB types. And yeah, I want to have some of these.
What, do you have any words of wisdom for people as training camp starts? The news is going to be flying every year. I feel like the reporting increases. We're all starved for information. We want to move on something. What are your words of wisdom?
I mean, geez, I can't, like, please don't even put on my timeline like a highlight of a guy, you know, like making a catch. The performance in these preseason practices just like could not matter less. A guy like quote unquote hurt. Like we used to have a rule at Roto World. It was only if a guy missed, I think it was 3 straight training camp practices before he even gets a news blurb. Now we have people like hyperventilating, like, Olave walked off the field with a trainer. You know, and it's like, yeah. So I think try to stay calm. And all I'm looking for is which guys are getting reps with the first team. That's really like all I'm looking for.
You mentioned Tucker Kraft falling. If you want to set up the triple here, Rico Corum, the other running backs at the top of the rank.
Let's go Rico. I think we have to go Rico here.
Yeah, let's get another running back. Oh, it's so funny you say that, dude, because it's like over the weekend, you know, I'm looking at Twitter and I want to say I saw 3 or 4 times different accounts talking about a single catch that Quinshon Booty made from Drake May. It was being discussed as if it was like JFK in the grassy knoll. It's like, did you see this? Did you see it? I was like, this is a single catch by a guy we're not even drafting in fantasy right now. Like, what is going on?
It's just great. It is great though, because people are just excited, you know, like they're just excited to like see highlight and see these guys actually on the field. So yeah, I get it. But yeah, I'm just excited to have, you know, actual news. I feel like it's been a tough time to draft over the last 2 to 3 weeks where guys are just moving on air. Guys that I like are moving on air. Like even the Waddle stuff. Waddle moved up a whole round or like 8 spots on DraftKings. I know, not on news, just because like some people decided to tweet about him and they like him. You know, it's like, and like all right, round 18, 19, 20 has just been completely sucked out, you know, and we're going to get that replenished here in the next week or so.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you about moving on air for no reason. I think the one thing that's interesting about the moves is it kind of shows you where the tiers are and where there's little resistance within the tiers of like, no one actually feels strongly on how to order these 4th round wide receivers. And so if all the influencers are hammering one, or Ted Arroyo has 3 great days of practice and tweets, it's like, okay, I'll move this guy to the top of the tier. The question is like, is it truly a tier, or is it now inching into territory where you're overpaying?
Yep. Agreed. I mean,
all right.
Yeah. And we're going to get different people drafting soon. Like, it just hasn't been a great time to draft the last few weeks. Now it will be.
All right. We're about to pick here at 9-7. We have Daniel, CMC, Rico, and then the 5 wide receivers, London, Nabers, McLaurin, Watson, Reed. Dart is gone. Purdy with CMC is here and close to the top of the ranks. I can look at running back, which is the Gainwell, Mason, C-Rod, Rashad White territory. Tight end, you have Fannin in Pitts. We are on the clock here. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I think once you spend that on Jaden and we have the double set up, I would probably pass on quarterback here. So I would probably go Fannin. I think we have as the best available tight end.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, Fannin, his price doesn't seem to rise even after all the good news about the groin stuff isn't an issue. I think people are just always going to not love anything associated with the Browns.
And some people are be like, oh, you should have taken Pitts there with Drake London. I think the way that Pitts goes off is when London is out. Not that Pitts can't have a fine year with him, but I think if I'm taking Pitts, I'm hoping that London gets hurt. That's when he really went off last year.
Yeah, I think maybe I would buy that a little bit more. Like if Pitts was like a 5th or 6th rounder, where it's then like a little harder. But I think you could say at this price, you could certainly have scenarios where they both pay off the cost and it doesn't have to necessarily come at the expense of the other.
Yep.
But Pitts is a strong selection too in this range. We have 1, 2, 5, 1. We do have, Purdy came off the board right before us, so we didn't even have to have that decision. And now we can kind of decide, is this where we grab, Jordan Love or
what's Love's ADP? What's Love's ADP?
It is 112. Rank is 19, and we pick at 114.
Yeah, and where's the guy who took Matthew Golden or Kraft?
Matthew Golden's still on the board.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that seems very late for Matthew Golden, but yeah, I think we have to. Do they have different buys? Love and Jaden, I believe.
Good call. Right? Jaden 7, Love 11.
Yeah. I think we have to take Love here if he's there.
Yep. Yeah. Drafters in front of us each all have 2 recent quarterbacks as well. So we should be good there. Yeah. Matthew Golden goes 111. I pulled him up in the draft I just did before you hopped on to like 102, 103. I really like him in that range right now.
Yeah. I think he's a good pick. I mean, especially if you think that Christian Watson is not a good pick in the mid 50s there. I know some people think that. Yeah. But clearly Jordan Love here for us.
Yep. Solver has it as a 10. Gainwell was 2nd, but we're going to lock up this double stack we committed to. And really the only thing with this team, it's like great quarterbacks, solid tight end, really strong wide receiver room. CMC Dowdle, we're going to have to get aggressive here with our running back darts.
Yep. And there's been some of this stuff is getting muddied. I talked about the Sean Tucker situation, like Braylon Allen versus Isaiah Davis has gotten muddied a bit here lately. So yeah, it's definitely tough in the back, but like give it a week or two, it's gonna be much clearer in the back, I think, at running back. And if we hadn't, you could maybe make a case that like, given our running back situation, maybe we should have taken Gainwell or Rashad White or Jordan Mason over Fannin there, and then there's more tight ends available late. But then you end up with like very little of that Fannin Pitts tier, and I don't love that. Fine. But my point is just like structurally, we could have pulled up Rashad, Gainwell, or Mason instead of Fannin if you wanted to address running back.
Well, the other reason I like locking up Love there is, again, this thing when you go 5 early wide receivers, we're not really able to build out wide receiver back stacks quite as much because we're just not taking too many. And then you look at our stuff, it's like we already have Jaden. We have 2 Packers. Dart's gone. We don't want to mess with Tua or Penix, and we don't want to mess with Shadur or Watson. So it's like, let's lock up the second quarterback.
Well, I was saying instead of Fannin, we could have gone running back, but that would have been a pretty big reach. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess it just depends on how you feel about the tier breaks here. Rashad White, Gainwell, Mason, Jones. When we go to look at running back, I mean, for me, the tier break is kind of C-Rod, Bill. I know you like Keaton, though, a little bit higher than the ranks, too.
Yeah, I think we're fine with it with any of those guys. I would probably just go with the ranks, C-Rod, then JCM, then Keaton. But yeah.
I think C-Rod's perfect for this team.
Well, it's always recommending JCM because we have Jaden. But
that's true. Where do you fall on that?
They don't correlate very well. From a team perspective, though, they correlate. I'd probably take JCM here.
Yeah, let's do it. That was he's one that I, for a while I was like, this feels like the worst pick on the board. Are we even sure he's going to be the favorite for base work? And then we were talking it through on Ship Chasing the other day, and we were looking at like the ambiguous backfields that could yield league winners. And I'm starting to think like, am I treating Ja'Cory Croskey-Merritt like he's a 6th round pick and not an 11th round pick, and just the opportunity for upside as the lead back in this offense is well worth the risk at this price?
Yeah. And like, I don't think Jaden and JCM correlate very well together from like directly throwing to him, but JCM's going to need touchdowns. And like, if Jaden's playing well, that's going to be more touchdown opportunities for Croskey-Merritt. And over the course of the season, we're betting on the Commanders playing well as a whole. And that's obviously good for both.
Yes. And like, again, going back to the price thing, right? Where it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like anything we have close to an example. Even then I've done like Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, but like you get the ping ponging effect where we talk about where if they're controlling a game and it's a big Bill game, maybe Daniels isn't advancing you out of your week 15 pod, but then bam, you have low owned Daniels. So like just being directionally accurate on the offense is still worth so much in these formats.
We just lost Chig. I thought that would have been a good pick for us, Chig there, but we can take Keaton. Solver might prefer Tracy. Yeah. I don't know if you have a preference there.
I like Keaton.
I think no matter what, Keaton's going to get like 6 to 8 touches per game. And like this team probably needs that.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, the Tracy stuff, you get the correlation with Nabers. I mean, Keaton Mitchell's so easy to dream on. It's like, what are you dreaming on with Tracy? I guess you're just like hoping for a Scatabo injury. I mean, is that it?
Probably. I mean, probably.
Yeah, I get. I mean, even the selling point of Scatabo, and if he stays healthy, is that he does everything. He can vacuum up all the high value touches, the receptions. He's awesome at the goal line, and so it's like, is Tyrone Tracy just one of the fanciest handcuffs on the board? Is he that different than Tank Bigsby? That's always my concern with him.
Yeah, it's like the one injury away backup running back stuff. Like you have to think about, does this team actually need the 4 points or whatever that's going to be Tracy's projection on a weekly basis if Scatterbu's healthy? Does your team actually need that? Or are you better off just being like, I'm going to take a 1 injury away guy like a Bigsby or Ray Davis, take the 0 when the starter's healthy, but have a really big upside when the starter goes down, if the starter goes down.
None of these running backs after we took CMC have been huge values, but just when you're catching up at running back to get Dowdle 3 picks later, Bill 6 picks past ADP, Keaton, who's a trendy guy, 2 picks past ADP, it definitely makes these kind of builds more viable than if you're really having to reach to kind of catch up positionally.
We have no one in the queue and it's our pick.
You're right. Jawan Jennings, Hunter Henry, Brenton Strange, Denzel Boston, Sadiq, Naylor by rank here.
What about running backs? I mean, are there anything?
Pacheco, B-Rob, Kamara.
There's a pretty big teardrop after Pacheco. I don't love him, but this team might need it. We definitely don't need wide receiver, right?
No, I mean, we probably want to save a wide receiver bullet for late. We could look at Antonio Williams with Jaden.
Yeah. So I didn't think we should take wide receiver there, and I didn't really love any of those tight ends. So I don't love Pacheco, and I do think that like we did dock Pacheco a little bit based on there was a little bit of Vaki hype, like maybe 4 or 5 days ago, and like I don't even think Pacheco's that good. If Vaki, I don't even know how to say his first name, Simone Vaki or something. If you think he can push Pacheco at all, if Gibbs were to go down, it's not great, but I think given this build and this is past ADP and past rank, I thought that was better than wide receiver or tight end, I think.
This is my 97th draft here with Adam Levitan back in the saddle for this Best Ball Mania home stretch here. Another 6 weeks of drafting. 741 of you guys watching live. The like button is always appreciated. If you can smash it, not even just hit it, just absolutely smash it. Subscribe. We're going to be here every Monday, 4-hour blocks of Best Ball Mania streaming. You mentioned you didn't love the tight ends. Henry, Strange come off the board. Sadiq, Hawkinson. I think we're definitely in the market here for a second relatively soon.
Yeah. Can I see the tight ends? Yeah, Juwan Johnson's gone. That was going to be the Juwan Johnson one is one that I like a lot. I like Hawkinson just like a hair more than our rank, just because I'm basically throwing out all of last year's numbers on the Vikings, and Hawkinson has been hurt, but at least the dude, I mean, if he has anything left in the tank, he's caught 90 plus balls in a season at least. So, yeah, Hawkinson or Sadiq. I think Sadiq is very risky. Like they could be like, we're just going to play him in year 2. So. We have them 4 apart. I think this team probably needs more early production. I would take Hawkinson, I think.
All right, let's do Hawk here. Yeah, Solver was torn between those guys. 10 score for Sadiq, 9.2 for Hawkinson. You really think like a Stowers-esque red shirt is in the cards for Sadiq from a playing time perspective?
No, not that far, but just like think about how many mouths they have to feed, and Geno Smith is throwing, and like they still have Mason Taylor, who I think they still like. I mean, I like Sadiq. It's just I think the range of outcomes is crazy wide on him.
For sure. Yeah, it does seem like, as you work through, how does all of this work for the Jets with Brees and Wilson and Cooper and him? And it's like, well, one, like Geno is incredible. It could support a few of these guys. But more realistically, it's like there's maybe 1 or 2 hits here. But Sadiq at the tight end position, I think just gives you a lot more room for error, because the barrier of a tight end being a success at pick 162 isn't that high.
Yeah, for sure. And if Sadiq gets back to us here, we should definitely take him. But can I see running back?
Yeah, let's head back to running back. We do have 5 of them now: CMC, Rico, Bill, Keaton, and Pacheco. By rank, we're looking at the Samson, Sharbs, Sean Tucker, Ray Davis, Katron Allen tier here. And then we're probably done at quarterback. We can also be in contention here. Would you break ranks? Or I guess the rank isn't that far off. Antonio Williams with Jaden. I'll toss him in the queue.
Mm-hmm.
By rank, the other guys, Flournoy, Ridley. We have some other tight ends, Otten, Freiermuth.
Yeah, my biggest concern on Antonio Williams is if they were to sign Diggs. I mean, it wouldn't be great for Antonio Williams, I don't think.
Yeah.
But it's like minus 130, minus 140 now or something like that. I think we should take Sadiq probably.
I mean, dude, that's the pro streamer move. You FUD the guy that you're secretly hoping to get around cheaper. Well done, Levitan. Sadiq, come on down.
Wow. What a tight end room.
What a tight end room. Here's the team so far. We have 3 more picks. We have Jaden and Love at quarterback, CMC, Rico, Bill, Keaton, Mitchell, and Pacheco at running back. Those 5 wide receivers up top: London, Nabers, McLaurin, Watson, Jaden Reed. 3 tight ends: Fannin, Hawkinson, Sadiq. I mean, this is nice. I mean, we probably have 2 more wide receivers and a running back, most likely.
Yeah. And like, if people are going to keep hammering running backs, like this, you're going to be able to get some really nice teams. I think this is like nice. Like, even if you don't like our players, like this is like, I think it ran out well for us. And we can take another receiver or 2, especially because we have Nabers. Like, we might want to take an extra wide receiver if we want.
I like that. You're like, even if you hate our players, you gotta fucking love this structure, bro. It's not don't hate the player, hate the game. It's don't hate the structure, hate the players. Groovy Greg says professional ass team here. Definitely Q built. Yeah, that's right. We could have done this team without the Q for sure. Speaking of which, back on the clock here, Ridley, Zachariah Branch, Tank Dell, Cooper Kupp, Ray Davis.
Antonio Williams went, huh?
He did. Yeah. Pat Bryant, Tank Dell.
Ridley's fine, I think. I like, even if you think Ridley's going to eventually lose work to Io Minor or DK, like if the Nabers thing starts out slow, we're going to need some early production, I think. So I think that's fine.
Yeah, that's a good point too there with the Nabers, because we are light. You're probably at best ping-ponging good weeks from Watson and Reed. You have McLaurin, London, Nabers. We definitely need a little bit there. I mean, Calvin Ridley, he's now becoming one of my most drafted wide receivers. And I think anyone using, it's not even just you guys, like ETR, I know the leg up guys, like you just end up with a ton of Ridley if you're using a projection base.
Yeah, I mean, his underlying stuff has been good. That's why. And like, yeah, he's been hurt. The whole Tennessee thing, like I'm queasy on a lot of them. Pollard, Tate, I'm just queasy on it. I like Helm and Ridley just because they're like so much cheaper.
It is the way to like offset the risk of like, if Cam Ward's bad and he takes down everybody, at least a Ward, Helm, Ridley part of your team. Like you might even be able to survive it if it's not catastrophic at those prices.
Can I see running back?
Yeah. So rank. So we could do the double Commanders thing, Katron, and then your Giddens, James, Kalen Black, Jaden Blue, Marshawn Lloyd. I know you like him.
Yeah, I mean, we could take Lloyd on the luck for the love stack, or I think Jaden Blue is interesting also as an upside play.
Just to float it, there goes Lloyd. The solver suggesting Gino, if you wanted the third quarterback stack there with Sadiq, just wanted to mention that. Otherwise, Katron or Blue. What do you think?
I think the bet is that JCM just outplays Katron. I would take Jaden Blue there.
Okay, let's take Jaden Blue. I'm with you on him. It has kind of started when I need a running back this late in the draft. I'm like looking at either Blue or Lloyd around this range.
Yeah. I know. I mentioned the Jacob stuff. Like, I haven't heard a single thing. And like Schefter had some note, like he just doesn't know what's going to happen with Josh Jacobs. Just the more time that goes by, the more likely it seems like he's okay legally. So we'll see.
One more pick here. I mean, this is essentially like a 0 RB build that has CFC, at least how we've approached it with the rest of it here. And now I think we need kind of like a high upside wide receiver swing, most likely. Or a boring pick, a Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk, but we need a wide receiver probably.
Branch has gone, I assume, with the Thornton dude on Kansas City.
I love how
former Patriot. He's gone.
Yeah, by rank, you're looking at Kupp, the man who connected with Drake May for the best catch of all time over the weekend. Keenan Allen, Slayton, if you wanted to like paper over Nabers, gone at the beginning of the season. Mac Hollins, who now is allowed to go into New England establishments barefoot because they recognize him. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel, bro.
Yeah. Vele is probably my, like, for this team, a little bit of upside. But if you wanted to take something more boring, it'd be Slayton.
Let's do. I'd never take Slayton. This feels like the team to do Slayton with a Neighbors team. And at least with Slayton, just with his A.2, it's a little less boring as far as you could get an explosive play here.
For sure. And I think that he'll likely play in 2 wide receiver sets. Mooney comes on in 3 wide receiver sets, assuming Neighbors is healthy. So I think, I mean, I don't know that for sure. Rana was saying Beckham, Odell might actually be able to make the team. That would surprise me a little bit if he has like enough in the tank / can stay healthy, but we'll see.
That is wild. Like, I just, there's some of these veterans, right? Like the Keenan and the Debo situation, like the, Diggs, obviously they're going to pick their spots. They want to play. They don't want to just like, why would Beckham subject himself to a signing this early and then have the embarrassment of not even making the team? Like, that just feels like I'm good, man. Like the NFL was great to me. I'm not going through that. That's a rough scene to get cut at that stage.
I think in his head, he thinks he's still like one of the best players in the NFL, So I'm serious. Which I guess to get to that level, you have to have that attitude, or a lot of guys have to have that attitude at least.
That's crazy though. Yeah. All right, let's check this out. We can pull up the solver draft report here as well. How does it feel to be back in the saddle? Best Ball Breakfast. Did you miss me? Don't laugh for that long.
It feels great. It feels great.
Is that what you're thinking about? You always talk about the deathbed theorem right before you're about to go under, and you're like, all those best ball teams I drafted on stream, definitely the best use of my time. A little montage of us arguing.
It's funny, ChatGPT, it knows me so well. Like I was talking to it the night before the surgery, and I was like, all right, anything else I should talk to the surgeon about before I go in there? And ChatGPT was like, yeah, make sure you tell the surgeon that you use your voice for a living and not to screw it up. I was like, I mean, I don't need
that one could probably go unsaid.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I don't even want this guy to know what I do for a living. Like, just leave me alone, So.
I love the idea of it. It's like, if push comes to shove and you have to amputate my foot or my vocal cords, do the foot because I use my voice for a living. Like, yes, ideally I would come out of this.
Because if I said that, then he'd be like, oh, what do you use your voice for? And I'd be like, well, I talk about this fucking stupid kids game, or I tell like sex jokes on the internet, like I didn't want to get into it with this fucking surgeon guy.
So I've been playing in this men's softball league on Sundays, and I'm chatting with one of the guys after, and he starts doing the question of what you do for a living. And, you wind up how you're supposed to dance around it, but he's a big fantasy baseball guy is what he is. So I'm like, all right, can we find some common ground here? And he goes, I use Derek Carty's projections. And so then we were off to the races. Just me and my new softball bro chopping it up about Derek Carty.
That's amazing. So does he use Carty for football or only baseball?
Yeah, he said he's just way more recreational with football, so he's not in the projection weeds there. But yeah, he's in like a dynasty baseball league, which I didn't even know existed. So there's some sickos out there.
Yeah, I mean that's how fantasy got started. I mean, fantasy baseball and dynasty fantasy baseball is actually awesome. It's an awesome game. Wow, we got a lot of ADP value there too. Look at us.
Look at us. I mean, minus 0.2. Is that what you're referencing?
I was just looking at the running backs, but yeah.
Oh, you're right. Nothing makes it move for Adam more than 1.1 spot of ADP value on Keaton Mitchell. Here's the team, though. We do owe everybody in the audio listeners a recap here. Jaden Daniels and Jordan Love at quarterback. CMC up top. Then we waited till pick 90 for RB2 Rico. Then we go Bill with the correlation. Keaton Mitchell. Didn't you hear there was a wanted poster for him? Isaiah Pacheco and Jaden Blue. We had the 5 wide receivers up top. London, Nabers, McLaurin, and double Green Bay, Watson and Reed. Come back and eat our vegetables at the end of the draft with Ridley and Slayton. And then 3 tight ends here, Fannin, Hawkinson, and Sadiq. Some light week 17 correlation here. Giants, Cowboys, Jets, Vikings, and Pittsburgh, Tennessee. How do you feel about this team?
Yeah, I just want to say that's the other thing about the Nabers play is he gets at Detroit in the Dome in week 16 and at Dallas in Jerry World in week 17. I mean, that's pretty strong for Nabers if he's 100%. So that's the other factor I think in reaching a little bit for Nabers, I think makes sense right now.
For sure. Yeah, and I'm with you. Like, I like these builds. There's some spots where there's a little bit more of a running back run, and you miss the Rico tier, you miss Bill, Keaton doesn't fall, and like, it really feels gross, but I think you land it with this kind of slight ADP fallers at running back.
Yeah, and also depends who's in the room. Like some of these rooms, like even in the 5-5-5s on DraftKings, which leans way more wide receiver heavy, I see people starting 3 running backs in the first 4 rounds, 4 running backs in the first 5 rounds. I've seen shady advice do in the 5-5-5, 5 straight running backs to start a draft. And like, if you get into rooms like that, you can certainly get better wide receiver values than we got here even. And then hopefully still get on some of the zero RB stuff here with, I like the names that we got, Rico, JCM, Keaton. I don't love Pacheco, but I think it's okay. And then Blue. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we were able to discuss most of these guys. Yeah. The Pacheco one, again, it's like, I mean, Gibbs goes down. How many points is Pacheco projecting for?
It's all about the Vaki situation. But yeah, I mean, do you think Pacheco can like catch the ball? I just don't think he's that good. That's my whole hang up on Pacheco. Like, I just think he's like a borderline NFL player. So, that's my biggest issue.
And one of I've seen the chat like bring this up a few times of like, are you overthinking talent at these prices as a clear RB2? And they point to the Woody Marks situation last year. And I'm like, it almost like proves the point. Like Woody Marks was what? Like a small hit, and that included the starting running back going MIA. It included him getting 20 touches a game, but he was so dusted as a rusher that it like barely, like no one talks about Woody Marks as a league winner last year.
Exactly. Yeah. I had so much Woody Marks last year because we had that information early. We had that information like June that Mixon was going to be out. I was getting Woody Marks at these insane prices early. I had a ton of them, and it was so frustrating. Yeah, you also have to be able to play, usually at running back, it doesn't matter that much, but if you're really bad, like, and the situation is bad, it matters.
What do you think? There's been a lot of chatter about the Cardinals recently. There's been some reports about, they have these 4 running backs. Do you think one of them is going to be on the move eventually?
Yes. And I think the same thing with the Packers stuff. That's why I've tried not to go too crazy on Marshawn Lloyd. Like if Jacobs actually got suspended, like for sure James Conner, Trey Benson's going there, right? So, yeah, I totally agree.
And it's a weird one, right? Because those two, like Trey Benson, what did he have? Second round draft capital. We're pretty excited about him. Seems like a pretty big bust. James Conner, who has just been awesome his entire career when healthy, I kind of will get way more excited about drafting James Conner in a new situation than I would Benson, or would you be open to either?
See, I think Benson's played really well on his limited touches. You know, it's just he can't stay on the field, whereas Connor's kind of been the opposite. He's been very steady and on bad teams has put up big numbers. So I'd be interested in either wherever they go, but I'm not writing off Trey Benson. By the way, I'm not sure if you're aware, me and James Conner are both hashtag survivors. So me and James Conner are basically the same. We came back from horrible situations and returned to the top of our craft, me and James Conner.
All right, then I guess I'll also have to trade you to another best ball streaming program as well to keep the narrative tie-in. I guess don't you think the Benson thing? I mean, isn't that a pretty big indictment that the draft capital they spent on him, that they then go and sign Tyler Algier, they draft Jeremiah Love? It's pretty clear, like we're a bad franchise. We need as many playmakers as we can get, and we don't think Trey Benson is a playmaker.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he's just been so unreliable, unable to stay on the field. I also think Arizona just doesn't really know what they're doing, just generally. But it's not like Algier got a ton of money, you know. I think Algier got like 2 years, 12 million, I want to say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, you hit me with that's fair. I saw Sam the other day had done the official power rankings of how derogatory that's fair are. 1 is totally fair. This is from least to most derogatory. 2, fair point. 3, that seems fair. 4, which you just hit me with, that's fair. 5, I guess that's fair. And number 6, fair enough. A devastating fair.
He's on fire on Twitter, man. I mean, I've been dying. You know, there's something about financial freedom that allows people to really improve their social media game. You know, it's an important thing.
Well, he had already been kind of laying the groundwork with his Twitter voice. And then, once he won Best Ball Mania, it was gas. Like this tweet here, like Kerrane's never tweeting this out, but from Sam, my biggest piece of advice for new best ball players: focus on contest selection. Lots of people waste their time on massive field tournaments. It will take decades to realize your edge of these formats. Instead, play cash games to grind out a consistent small profit each year.
I didn't see that, but that was directed at me. You know, it's crazy because like I talk to people about this and I'm like, yeah, like you're never going to win Best Ball Mania. And then like I think about it when I say that, and I actually know 3 people that have won. And like,
tell me about it, brother.
I know. And then also like, I didn't know Sam Shepard, who won the DraftKings one last year, but like, he's like a fucking like 5'10" grinder, like a 5'10" poker grinder in Vegas, you know, like I basically know him, you know what I mean? Like so I need to stop saying this because people I know keep fucking winning these things.
Yeah. That's the only reason you agreed to this show, to get within get closer to the Best Ball Mania champs.
But now I need to actually draft some of these.
Are you gonna have time to max BBM on your own? Wow, that got a bigger laugh than I thought. It was an earnest question.
I need to like work on my auto draft game, I think is kind of the best way. But
how rich autoing BBMs? How rich?
I mean, you know, it's just not in me. These. How many teams can do it once and like actually make good teams?
Well, I know the answer for streaming, which is I can only do 1 in stream. But if you had 2, like knowing you, like I do, some people will say outrageous numbers. Like don't ask Davis the question to it. For me, it's like 2 teams. If it had my undivided thing, because it is important to be able to see what's happening in the rooms. I have diminishing returns after that.
Right. Yeah. I did 2 at the same time. Last night I missed a pick and I got queued actually because I had a Lamar team and I had Bateman in the queue. I ended up taking Bateman at like 140 overall.
Well. Now it's nice for you to admit that sometimes the queue goes wrong. It isn't.
The queue is not great if you're doing multiple drafts at once. For sure. I think I can make like okay teams doing 2 or 3 at once. Beyond that, it definitely for good teams though. I feel like I need to just be doing 1.
I just also feel like I think you could, the point of, or like autoing BBMs, I do think you could probably build out a pretty good portfolio to advance, right? Like you push the running backs up in the ranks, push the naked, the Konami code quarterbacks up a bit, whatever. You guys have good ranks. But as far as like having the components and the stacking needed to get through the gauntlet. And so then it's like, isn't the entire point is being in the lotto, is giving yourself a chance to win, and autoing is probably not the best way to do that.
100%. 100%. But I just thought by being on this show, I was already upping my chances of winning by like 50%. So I can take a little bit of negative EV by autoing and still have a chance.
How much? I mean, even setting aside the money, I mean, if we win Best Ball Mania with one of our co-drafted teams, I mean, the kind of media tour we're going to have to go on together, like you'd be so sick of me by the end of that.
You wouldn't be able to find me. I'd be buried under hookers and cocaine. Forget all the health stuff. It'd just be, yeah.
So this is all it takes for hookers and cocaine. It's like, all right, post taxes, we're, pulling in like 550K, and then I send you your Venmo for 225K. That's all you need to get to the hookers and cocaine part of your life.
Yes, exactly.
That's how you came to at the end of your operation. While you started reaching at the nurse, you're like, I'm here. I've reached nirvana.
Dude, the stuff they give you, man, because I was out for like surgery took a long time. Like I was out for like 2.5, 3 hours. It's fucking crazy, man. Like the fact that they can just like literally put you out, you feel nothing. Yeah, it's crazy. And like I wasn't even in that much pain when I woke up. Like they literally dug into my neck, pulled something out. I was under for 3 hours. I went home that night and wasn't in that much pain. Like it's fucking incredible, man. It really is. Those drugs are unreal drugs.
Yeah, you don't want to become dependent on them after there. What was the first thing you did? Did you have a meal? Was there something that you really wanted to do to kind of savor this, new lease on life?
No, I had some soup and had some smoothies, and then I had a surgery Tuesday. Thursday night, I had to coach, and they were like, my wife was like, no, you can't coach. It's only been 48 hours since the surgery. And I couldn't really like yell. My voice was super weak, but yeah, I wanted to see the team. So I coached on Thursday night. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
I could see you. You're going to your Chat GPT here. Chat GPT, I just emerged from my deathbed. Please tell me the optimal starting lineup sorted by the P, what is it per there for my 8th grade basketball team?
Yes, the player efficiency model. Yes.
What's the official? I mean, Levitan, you leave Philly, and now it's become the hottest basketball destination in the world with LeBron going there. Do you feel like you regret moving out of Philadelphia now?
No, but it's a vindication of the process. Sometimes processes take longer than others. You start it with Sam Hinkie. You fire him, you go through the Colangelo years, you try to bring it back with Daryl Morey. In the end, it ends up working out. You just got to stick with the process. You have to be willing to stick with it for 12 years here, Pete. When I lived in Philly, I was so obsessed with the Hinkie stuff and the process. They used to have these parties, these process parties, and it would be like the night of the draft lottery, and it'd just be like thousands of virgins at a bar watching the draft lottery. And I remember I was there when we got the number 1 pick, when the Sixers got the number 1 pick, which I believe they burned on someone who ended up, I forget which year it was. It might have been Ben Simmons' year, but
okay.
But yeah, I mean, it was fucking awesome, man. I still have all these t-shirts that are so funny of Hinkie. So I'm still a Sixers fan, man. You got to trust the process. Was like, it was such a wake-up call to people about like how you should be building teams for the long term that like I'll never forget it. It's incredible. Yes, RTRS. Yes, that's the Spike Eskin show. Yeah, I went to the parties. I wasn't really a listener, but I went to the RTRS parties. Yeah.
I mean, if you had just told me on paper, Adam going to a party about the idea of a long view process for NBA team building with a bunch of strangers, I would not have pegged you as going to that. And yet you love the process so much that you were willing to debase yourself publicly to attend such an event.
Exactly. I've realized like I'm only comfortable around like, fellow virgins, basically. I can't go to an actual party. I need to go to the Sixers draft lottery party. That's the only party I can go to.
There you go. All right, Levitan, you mentioned you got Market Monday coming, some more conversations on Nabers. Who are the other players you're going to discuss today?
Today on Market Monday, we are hitting David Montgomery, Fernando Mendoza, Sam Laporta, Malik Nabers, and I need to find a couple others.
Okay. All right. Sweet. We'll be looking forward to that. I'm still working my way through the Establish the Edge podcast. Make sure you guys check that out if you're trying to get a good foundational base here for this final push of drafting. And as always, you guys saw us with the solver score up here. Check out the solver. You can get 20% off with promo code Pete. Get your combinatorial pairings up there, get your exposures, get those solver scores if you also have the ETR ranks. Anything else I'm forgetting there, Levitan?
No, I think if you're trying to like do what I was saying, like get more volume on some of the lower dollar stuff, like that's where I rely on the solver tool the most, is like trying to get volume on the lottos and stuff like that, and doing fast or doing slows really quickly. I think it helps a ton. So yeah, check out the promo code Pete there at the solver.
And Levitan, I mean, like, look, I know there was maybe one spot today with the Q where you had to nudge me, but I mean, you gotta give me some flowers, man. I've really changed my ways. I've adapted my game to you and to how you like to draft, and I just feel like I deserve some credit for that.
Yes. I don't know if you noticed, but it made a big difference being able to actually fucking see the queue. Now that you've moved the big ass circles out of the way, we can actually see the players. That God forbid we were able to see the players when we draft. I mean, that made a huge difference for sure. Shockingly.
We're back. That what I just heard in your voice is how I know Adam Levitan is officially back. All right, dude. We will see you next Monday. Check out Market Monday, all of that good stuff. And it's time for Jakob Sanderson.
All right, later.
Peace. All right, here he is, filling in
Hello.
for Sam Sherman, a line that has become all too familiar in Jacob's career. Welcome to Best Ball Breakfast here.
Happy to be on. How's it going?
It's going good, but this is a move that I'll sometimes do to Kerrane, and I normally don't do it to a guest because it's asking a lot, but I actually think you're well equipped to handle like a 60-second vamp session for me while I go to the bathroom.
Okay.
How about
good.
you tell the people about the long view? Tell them about your
Sure.
Substack.
Tell
them the new projects, and we'll be back.
All right. That works well. Hey, guys. Happy to be hosting Best Ball Breakfast about 10 minutes after I just was able to come in and guest for Best Ball Breakfast. But yeah, new show. My name's Jakob. If you don't know me, you probably do if you're watching Pete's channel, because I podcast with him on a weekly basis over on Ship Chasing. You can also check out The Long View, which is a new podcast with myself and Ben Gretsch, another person you probably are familiar with if you watch Pete's channel. We got 2 episodes of that, and that's going to be exciting. We got Jason in the chat asking for hockey talk. I don't know if I have any new hockey news today, but if anyone's got some hockey questions, it would be my absolute pleasure. You know, there's no Pat here, so we're free to be who we want to be. Hop at a best puck. Yeah, that's something we could do. That would be fun. I think I should actually play the best puck this year. I haven't previously. Mr. Brad, we got how are we feeling about Rashad White and Braylon Allen exposures? Great about Rashad White. Less great about Braylon Allen.
Wait, do you have a lot of Braylon Allen?
I was drafting a lot of Braylon Allen, and then like literally the day that I discussed how much Braylon Allen I was drafting on ADP chasing, then that report came out that was like he might not actually be the 2. And then I can tell you I've stopped drafting Braylon Allen.
Yeah. Well, we are going to draft here in Best Ball Mania. I know you've been writing a lot over on the Substack. Are you excited for training camp to have some actual news to digest, or is it business as usual for you here?
No, I can't wait to have some actual news. It'll be a lot better than what we've been doing, which is like some beat reporter makes one speculative report and someone's ADP changes 2 rounds. Like, it'll be nice to have some concrete running with the 1s, running with the 2s. It's also just going to be fun to make drafts feel more dynamic and unpredictable again. Like, we got that one goofy report from Nathaniel Hackett, and I was getting Jeremiah Love at like pick 33 yesterday. And it's like, it would just be nice to have like this kind of stuff where everybody is is constantly reacting and the market is shifting because I feel like everything's just kind of gotten so set in place the last month. So this should be fun.
That I feel like Underdog should add that, in the same way DraftKings has like the Q tag for stuff. There should be like, they have the little news thing in the information tab, but they should just have pop-ups on like Nathaniel Hackett says Jeremiah Love isn't going to touch the ball until week 14 and just let people react to a constant stream of suggestions. Let's see here. Tommy Jones, what is that background noise? Jacob has a lot of things going on in his Vancouver apartment. Squirrels are known to try to enter the window. So I never question your setup right now, Jacob.
You know what? I think this one actually might be fixable for me. I think it's my fan coming from the other room. So I actually will address this. I'll be back in 10 seconds.
Guys, this is how you tag team streaming. One of you has to go to the bathroom. The other comes on and vamps. Then the other one has to go and close a window or a fan in their other room. And then I can vamp. This is teamwork, guys. It's teamwork here. Copy paste. Jeremiah Love, mid-third, is stealing right now. Completely agree. OMG Fantasy, will Jacob be an every week guest next year when he inevitably wins BBM? Absolutely. Absolutely. We can count on that. But he's got to earn it. He's got to earn it. He's got to win BBM, and then you can.
Bad news, actually. It's nothing to do with me. There's I don't know. Seems to constantly be construction going on in the city, and I don't even know what it is. There's just like a going on from somewhere outside. So all windows are closed. Everything I can do is done, but it is what it is.
Hey, look, I personally don't mind it. I've podcasted with Kerrane through the Brooklyn years where the police sirens and the honking, it became basically the third cast member of Ship Chasing and Best Ball Breakfast. So I'm open to it as long as it doesn't distract ultimately.
That's the key. I've got to win Best Ball Mania, and then I've got to move to a city without construction.
That's right. Then you could do the Kerrane where he's just like sets up his mic outside on his nice little porch with the the backdrop, the vine backdrop behind him. That's the good life. Speaking of the good life, we are going to be drafting a Best Ball Mania draft here. Where are you at in your BBM maxing journey?
Ooh, I think I'm at like 45-ish. I looked at my historical results, and I've played much better in the later drafts, so I've tried to tilt it this year to account for that. So my goal was to be only at 50 by the end of July and then do 100 in August, which was never really possible before when I was a full-time lawyer to be able to fit in that type of late volume. But I think it's possible this year, so that's the plan. So I have like one a day left for July basically, and then I'll be aiming at like 3 a day in August.
Are you, I could see you going either way on this. Are you a desktop exclusive guy? Or are you, I'll be out walking around and ready to rip one on my phone kind of guy?
Entirely the latter.
Really? Never desktop? Yeah. Wow.
Never almost never desktop. Like if I happen to be at my desktop, maybe, but no, I would say like, I feel like I just need more stimulation in my life than just drafting. Like I feel like drafting is like usually it's like I'm doing it outside on a walk, most often, or it's like maybe I'm like just got home, I'm relaxing, watching TV. I'll pull up one draft, but I don't think I can. Just sitting at the desktop to draft teams, that feels, I don't know, feels bad. Like it's probably a nicer drafting experience, but
I'm my stuff. I'm almost exclusively desktop, but that's because it's either streaming or slow drafts. I actually did, Jacob, my first fast draft on my phone that wasn't streamed of the entire year over the weekend. On Saturday night, we were watching some TV. Lauren falls asleep, and I'm like, you know what? The fast puppy's about to fill. It's time for me to rip one of these on my phone. That was the moment I became a best ball bro.
Wow, you're still drafting fast puppies on the phone, hey? That's
one.
Like what I can't. That I just can't do, honestly. I've been, as like a mental health thing this year, I'm only drafting the BBMs and like similar or higher stakes fast, and the puppies, I'm just slow drafting the puppies.
There you go. We are on the clock at 110. CeeDee Lamb and then the wall of running backs. What's the Jacob approved pick here?
I take Genty here.
Let's do it. Yeah, talk to me, Genty versus Lamb, because I assume that's a decision a lot of people will have.
Yeah, I just like part of it is just I desire to have stance. Like I want to believe in something in life. So generally, like I need to find some kind of guys to get up overweight on. Lamb and Jefferson Genty and Jefferson are probably the ones that I feel strongest about. But Genty in particular, just absolute workhorse profile. I think improved O-line, improved play calling. We're going to get a lot of pass catching. Here, I mean, it's kind of take your pick. Like, I rotate these picks around. I think my highest ranked is Hampton, but I'm fine with any of him, Brown or Achane.
Yeah, let's do Hampton. I just think it's always a fun conversation. My take has been every like individual piece on the Chargers is probably overpriced, and yet if it hits, you can see how multiple of the pieces could be guys you have to have. Do you agree with that thesis, or do you think there are just individual values to be had here?
I totally agree with that thesis. I mean, probably the two guys that I like the most at cost are just the cheapest ones, like Gadsden and Trey Harris. I feel pretty good about because you're just not investing that much. But yeah, I definitely agree, especially with respect to the top prices. Like Hampton, I have a little bit behind ADP. Ladd a little bit behind ADP, and QJ a lot behind ADP. So I agree. It's been tough to get on board. I think part of it is just how many different skill players I expect to see the field. Like I think there might be a rotation of 10, 11 guys for those 5, running back, receiver, tight end slots on a given week. And I think when usage gets that rotational and that unconcentrated, probably going to be tough for a lot of guys. But it could be really great for one guy, if he becomes not part of that rotational element. So I've struggled with a lot of the Chargers prices. I'm trying to force myself to take more Chargers because I do really believe in the offense. So I see it very similarly to you.
And I did just find in my email the updated ranks, which are from 3 days ago. So we're going to get the Jakob ranks pulled in here too. And that way you can't wiggle out of a take. I can do the thing where it says, nope, you actually ranked him here. And so you have to do what it says.
Look at that. There you go.
Let the people know. That's too tough. What they're thinking about subscription. What other, in addition to all of kind of your long form writing about strategy and macro thoughts, what other kind of projections and stuff do they get?
Yeah, so you get obviously all the articles like you mentioned. I have best ball rankings uploadable there for Underdog and for DraftKings that you're seeing on the screen right now. I had put out my FFPC redraft rankings a little while ago. I'll have home league rankings up soon, usually early August, and I'll sort of have a write-up as I go through all the different tiers. Dynasty rankings, of course, get always updated, and the bulk is the writing. So we're kind of in peak, moving into redraft season, so finishing up a lot of the best ball content, going to get into more of the redraft content through August. And then obviously I get all the in-season stuff too. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, I think, this year for the in-season content. Certainly going to write more in-season content with the extra freedom this year. So a lot of stuff over there.
Beautiful. All right, we start Genty in Hampton. Now we have this stretch of wide receivers here. I guess Kerrane's kind of the lone running back kicking around. Devontae Olave come off the board. By rank, we're looking at Higgins, Ted Arroyo, Garrett Wilson, Kerrane, Waddle. What do you like doing at 310?
I probably would go Higgins if he's there. And he is. So I think that'd be my move here. Just by ADP, he's the highest of a bunch of receivers I like. So.
Yep, and this is kind of a good spot to grab 2 wide receivers generally. What do you I feel like the talking points in this range now, it's like, are you moving up Nabers? Are you moving up Jacobs a little bit? What are kind of the things you're considering with these players?
Yeah, Nabers, he goes early here. I've still been able to get him late 3, and I've been trying to because I was pretty far behind on him. If we can get, so at this point, Waddle's gone. He's been a guy I've been trying to get because he feels like he's rising. So I'd probably be Wilson. Yeah.
Yeah, and Wilson kind of has a wide band now. He's like the guy that is going to move around a lot, not because of him, but because of other movement, where it's like Waddle pushes up Nabers, and it's like, all right, Garrett Wilson's no longer exciting to me. He's one where, I guess that's always going to be the case with Jets, Browns, Titans, where it's just like people kind of shrug their shoulders.
Yeah, he's not going to be the recipient of massive steam, so I've noticed him fall to the late 4 in a couple of drafts, which makes sense. I mean, I've been doing the same thing. Like, I have him ranked, I think, still above Jalen Waddle, but I can feel the Waddle steam leaving the station, so I've been kind of forcing the Waddle button a few times just to make sure I get my exposure in. And Nabers was very, very similar. He goes early in this draft, but I'd say overall I've been surprised that he hasn't steamed up more quickly just based on the news. I mean, I don't think he's like completely out of the woods by any stretch. Matters more what he looks like when he does play. But I think he went from the consensus being that he was very unlikely to play week 1 and possible to miss a month to now, I'd say more likely than not, at least, to play week 1. And yeah, that's a pretty big change. I mean, you think about where he was going before any of the bearish reporting came in, it was like early 2, right? And I think that would still be a bad price. But I guess there were obviously there was a critical mass of people who were willing to click him there once upon a time. So I'm curious if they get back there with the same information. Like, to me, I moved him up into, I think I moved him to 28 in my ranks, so 304, which I feel like is a reasonable move up. So I don't know, where are you at on him right now?
Yeah, I've been I was talking it through with the chat before, and it still feels like an element where his ADP is going to be really swingy, right? We've already seen it based on 2 different news reports that pushed him down and now vaulted him back up. So I'm trying to think of it from like a CLV perspective too. I think right now I kind of want to sit out these frothy prices going at 25. I saw him go at 28 in my first draft. I would like for him to settle like reasonably, like back into round 3, where I am still a little hesitant. But we were just looking at it with Levitan. You look at their playoff schedule, the multiple dome games, like it's not hard to see Nabers as a league winning smash in the same way we talk about Jeremiah Love. Could it be rocky at the start? Absolutely. We've seen that play out, but man, the late season upside is so big that, yeah, I think ultimately I want to try to boost my exposure if I can do it at what, mid round 3 prices.
Yeah, that would be the hope. Because, I mean, as long as he's going in that range, I don't think that the opportunity cost is actually that different than where he was going in the early 4 anyways. So, you know, it feels bad taking the higher price, but in terms of the players he's going near, that's an
running backs
spot.
Wiped. Yeah. Lamar, Watson, Tate, BTJ, Daniels, Tyson.
Yeah.
Probably a wide receiver here.
I think I'd go Watson here, probably.
Yeah. We were talking through him and the Packers on ship chasing, and you've been doing a series about ambiguous wide receiver rooms. What was your takeaway for Watson from like a small hit, small miss perspective?
Yeah. A little less bullish than I was early season. I think more than anything is when you start to get into the minutia of a projection, you just realize how challenging it is to project upside for a team that throws as little as they do. And I think Watson, so I was trying to get into like, okay, how do we create more volume here? It's just a little bit challenging given his kind of unique profile. I'd be Thomas or Joe Burrow.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about the pulling up Joe Burrow. Solver is in agreement. Thomas or Burrow. You pick here.
Let's do Burrow.
We'll grab Joe Burrow here. But yeah, keep going on Watson.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think for him, like, his per route stuff is pretty impressive. And I think in my mind, kind of before getting into the minutia of the projection, I'm like, if he just scales that up on full routes, you know, he could be a wide receiver 1. Just not really the case because they run so few routes in that offense. So you probably need a Jacobs injury or a suspension or something to get that. I think probably what you need from Watson is, in addition to more routes, to be a major hit at that cost, you probably need him to run more of the intermediate stuff, take on some of what Dobbs left behind, and that I just struggle to get behind. So I think he can be like a small to medium hit. I had him originally ranked pretty aggressively. I've kind of tapered him back towards basically being an ADP. I feel fine with him where we got him. Like I still prefer him to that Adunze, Tate, Tyson, Thomas group. But I think like going through that, I feel pretty solidly better about like Jameson, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams. So I think I'm kind of right with consensus on Christian Watson right now.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was listening to Brandon Thorne talk about the Packers offensive line, and he actually had their unit like pretty poorly graded just from a talent perspective. He conceded like, hey, love the scheme, love what the coaches do with them. But he had some concerns just about the offensive line, like holding up for Jordan Love, and that you put a lot on his plate, getting the ball out quickly, extending plays to kind of paper over a rougher offensive line. It was just one of those inputs that I don't generally think about until, you know, it's said explicitly to me. So that was giving me a little bit more concern about, because one of my things I was kind of wish casting is like, if there's Jacobs uncertainty, whatever, could this team just throw more? Could it concentrate without Wicks and Dobbs? Could they air it out more? On that thought is very fun. Is it realistic though, is the question.
I mean, maybe it gets more realistic if they can't block and they can't pass block or they can't run block. I'm not sure. I don't know if that makes you pass more or less if you have offensive line issues. Maybe more just because you end up in 2nd and 8 more than 2nd and 5, and then you have to throw. I'm not sure, but it would be nice if we could get them to have a little bit more volume.
So interesting spot here coming up at 7:10. We have Burrow, Genty, Hampton, Higgins, Wilson, Watson. Do you do the the Herbert with Hampton? Do you set up a double stack with Reed and Watson? Do we get your guy Harvey, your guy Downs? A lot of options here.
I think I'd be either doing the Herbert thing or I would go Harvey because I think those would be the two for me. I'll leave it with you.
Let's do Herbert. Just the ADP. There is a 5-pick gap. There's a chance we could potentially get both. And like you said, with the Herbert stuff, there are some really cheap backstacking options. We kind of play it through Hampton on the high end in a Burrow-Herbert pairing. I don't think I have done that too much at all, so that seems fun.
No, neither have I. It's a unique one, so I'm very interested.
So, yeah, now we got the 2 quarterbacks here, Burrow-Herbert. With Garrett Wilson, Geno, Christian Watson, obviously love and play, but this gives us kind of flexibility. And then Harvey does come back, so we can get both.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that.
And I will say, the two players I came away from, I don't want to say a 180 on, but being way more open to from our discussion on ambiguous backfields was RJ Harvey in the Broncos backfield, who I've been skeptical of, and JCM in the Commanders backfield. But give the bull case for Harvey for people who maybe didn't have a chance to check out that show.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm pretty bullish on the whole backfield. I'm bullish on the Denver team. I think they're the one team that I think is most underrated by the market. And so this is a take that I think will just not really factor into how most projection models view them, because most of the good, well-calibrated models will look at things like Vegas season-long touchdown expectation. They'll build out a projection from there. They're rated as a below-average expected scoring offense. I think that's a bit odd to me because it's a team that has consistently been average or above under Bo Nix. They got him going into 3rd year. They've got a massive new addition, in my opinion, in Jalen Waddle that should help the entire offense. And so that's kind of the baseline. Then I look at Harvey, and he's a prospect I really, really liked all around. The rushing stuff year 1 was a pretty major issue. I don't think there's any way around that or to not be honest about that. But he wasn't all bad. The receiving stuff was great, was super efficient, scored a ton of touchdowns, is really the only back that provides that explosive receiving element. So I look at him where he goes. I'm like, he's, to me, locked into, based on talent, that receiving game profile. That kind of already puts him as a pretty interesting change of pace guy. And look at the other guys going in this round, like Jonathan Brooks, Kyle Monangai, Blake Corum. Pretty easy to envision how all those guys, especially Monangai and Corum, are just change of pace backs all year themselves. And then what I think Harvey gets that those guys don't have, with the exception of Brooks, is if we see major improvement with him on the ground, I think that there is still a chance for him to consolidate and be the lead guy. No one's going to be like the workhorse in this backfield, so to speak. But I think that just because Denver isn't sure that Harvey can be that every down rusher, and they shouldn't be based on his rookie year, I don't think that means that he can't come in as a second-year player and show significant improvement and take more of the work than maybe they have planned currently. So I view Harvey as a pretty small miss, or maybe smaller than the market thinks, because I think he can still provide pretty close to this ADP value with the receiving profile, the explosive runs. But if he's able to put everything together in year 2 and just be a better player, which I still have a decent amount of faith he can do, that's where you get the pretty big ceiling.
Yep. Yeah. And I've definitely, we were talking about offensive line. I mean, this Denver offensive line is going to be awesome. Whoever's touching the ball is going to have success here. Back on the clock, you're high on Fannin here.
Yeah.
Dobbins, Rashad White, of course.
I'd probably be Fannin. Yeah. Is there anyone sticks out for you? I think that'd be my guy.
No.
Here.
Yeah, we're probably, I do think Dobbins and Harvey could coexist, but I assume for you, part of the Harvey bet is that he's able to wrestle away some base work from Dobbins.
Yeah, I don't love taking the 2 most expensive in that backfield. If I'm going to do it, I probably would be one of Dobbins and Harvey, and then Coleman maybe would be fine.
Yep.
This spot, I'd really like it to be Matthew Golden. Yeah, so Golden does come here. I'd be Golden or KC probably.
Let's do, man, I'm really getting warm on Golden. And again, if we're thinking about CLV stuff, like I do think Golden's ADP could continue to rise. Reeds could drop a little bit. And I think Casey Concepcion, I mean, even if you get buzz on him, like I feel like his price is going to hold firm just because there's never any Browns enthusiasm.
That's correct.
And yeah, we're going to notice that too as we start doing our FFPC main events on ship chasing. Like we've already joked about him potentially being the clip, Casey Concepcion, that is, just because like he's always going to look like a value to us in most drafts we do.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think he might be my most drafted player in BBM right now, which I'm pretty comfortable with. I think his price is a little bit nonsense, but yeah. I've been warming on Golden. That was the guy I came away from that Packers article most optimistic about at their best ball price was Golden, despite not being like by any stretch a Matthew Golden prospect profile truther. I'm just, it's a good question, Miles. I think we talked about Price on the long view too, and he fits into this. And I haven't been quite as into him in BBM, but he's even cheaper in redrafts. And we were talking about some of the FFPC prices, and it seems like you are getting a pretty big discount for the non-nerd approved prospect profiles these days, to a point that even as a pretty nerdy prospect guy, like I find myself taking a lot of Golden, taking a lot of Price on FFPC, and I mean it's not my favorite form of edge out there in the market for sure, but I do wonder if there's kind of getting to be something to be said about have we overcooked some of the analytical stuff to the point that, not on underdog really, but like on FFPC, Price is going almost a full round behind Tootin, for instance, with a very different tier of wide receiver. And it's like we're that confident in taking the round 4 year 2 guy with some fun fantasy stats ahead of the round 1 rookie. Like it's something interesting. And Golden is an example of that too. Like you look at some previous year 2 bets off of middling rookie years. Like think about where Xavier Worthy was going last year, compared to like where Matthew Golden is going this year.
Well, and let's make this pick. But yeah, the other thing about Golden too is like the way they're going to ask him to win isn't being this like reliable possession receiver on every down, right? They're going to ask him to be fast. They're going to ask him to run down the field and beat DBs and get loose deep. Like there's a level of reliability there where I feel like it's a little harder for him to fuck that up than if he was like a possession receiver who really struggled to earn targets. Back on the clock, Shakir, Diggs, Coker, and then your ranks, Andrews, Ferguson.
I think I'd be Shakir.
Yeah, let's do Shakir here.
Yeah, Shakir, Diggs.
Yeah, we'll grab Shakir, 4 picks past ADP. So the team so far, Burrow and Herbert, Genty, Hampton, RJ Harvey, AFC West running back maxing here. T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Matthew Golden, Khalil Shakir, and then Fannin holding it down at tight end. Is
the missile still there?
He is. Would you do both Missile and Hampton?
I think I would on this team. I think we want a running back here. He fits.
Rip it in.
Chargers thing. I think let's do it. We got Herbert.
I mean, this is where you have to say the thing of, Peter, would you have wanted Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane on the 2023 Dolphins on the same team? Yeah, you're right. You're right. I would have liked that.
I think it's more just that I feel like I prefer to get to 4 running backs by that point because running backs get so rough in the later portions of the draft. And I do think like it used to be to me, it was after JCM and Aaron Jones was like the death zone running back. I've welcomed Keaton Mitchell into my heart, so now I think it's post Keaton Mitchell is the death wall. But
well, and I do agree. Like people always ask about what are the backfields where you would entertain handcuffing, and generally there's like a few different factors. Like for me, obviously price is a huge one. Like you don't want to take like, I feel like Corum and Kerrane are a good example of like the prices are expensive on both. the league winning smashes for both of them probably don't involve the other being that involved. Don't like that pairing. Keaton Mitchell, like the entire thesis is the standalone role. He's a very bad pick if he doesn't have any standalone role right now.
Right.
Well, why couldn't those guys coexist? And then it goes back to that idea that we were talking about at the top, where it's like all of these Chargers are likely overpriced in a vacuum. But if the Mike McDaniel thesis hits, like this tide is going to lift all of these boats. And could you get a scenario where they are two backs that are, both offering standalone value on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah, that's the hope for sure. And I agree with that assessment. I think that the more that the basis of the play is around contingent value for one of the guys, the less you should be interested in taking both in a best ball setting. But yeah, I agree. I don't think that taking the Chargers two together is that bad. It's probably the first time I've done it. But with Herbert, we've made a big bet on the offense. We'll see if Gadsden did not even come close to getting all the way back to us. So
it does seem like when you're on that side of the board, I've been in that spot before, and you have to decide between Mitchell or Gadsden if you want one of them, because like you're just not going to be able to get both without being in the middle of the draft board, and maybe you can finagle it.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a 2-4-5-1. Still looking good at quarterback by your ranks. We got the Sadiq and then these wide receivers, McMillan, Boston, Tucker by ADP, McMillan, Pacheco, Jennings, Boston. Who do you think the pick is here?
I think Sadiq's the pick we need the most, to me, just from we're going to need two more tight ends. I think there's a teardrop after Sadiq for me. And then we probably come back with one of these receivers.
Yeah, 2-4-5-2, Fannin, Sadiq, Burrow, Herbert at the onesies, got the 4 running backs, including the 2 up top, 5 wide receivers. And then, this is going to hit the sweet spot of your ranks with McMillan, Boston. And I do know you're slightly ahead on all of these guys relative to, I guess McMillan is the slider that you're actually behind on, but now he's slid a ton.
Yeah, he slid a ton. I feel like we probably can't look that gift horse in the mouth if he comes there. But are we 7 picks ahead ADP now on Trey Harris? I'm trying to think if.
Ooh, that's a good call. Let me go back to him. You're right. Even with ADP at 166 and we're 159. So we probably need to pull him up if we want him.
So exactly 7 picks ahead. So nobody's more locked into the best ball ADPs. Yeah, I'd say let's go ahead and grab him, especially with McMillan off the board.
Yeah, I agree. Like, Boston's there too, but isn't that the spot to break the tiebreaker and the correlation?
Yeah, I agree.
All right. We now have the 2-4-6-2, 4 more picks, pretty balanced here positionally. Would you say across your drafts, are you mixing up your builds, the 0 RB, the anchor, the robust, or do you find yourself gravitating to something in particular?
I'm probably more balanced like this most often. But I did my first, I don't know if it technically counts as 0 RB because I took DeAndre Swift in the 5th. So
that counts.
It's
in this economy, that fucking counts.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I did one yesterday where I got Swift as my RB1, and I don't think I took an RB2 until Dobbins in the 9th. And that was not really something I've been doing, but that team ended up being kind of fun. So I don't know. We're experimenting a little bit here and there, but I would say this type of build where kind of start the RB, especially from the back half of the board. That's like almost every one of my teams from the back half, where it's Genty or Cook in the first, and then come back with Barkley, Walker, Hampton, or Achane in the next round, and that's probably how I'm starting most of them. But what's been your breakdown this year?
No, I'm similar in that I'm kind of all over the place. And you draft with Pat, we're kind of loading up on RBs this year when we're using the sidekick. I this morning, my first solo draft, I did a McBride Bowers team, and
that's fun.
It was going to be tricky, but I kind of like how it shook out. Levitan and I did like an extreme anchor RB build where we took McCaffrey and then Rico at pick 90 was our RB2. Cool. And then kind of really, so yeah, I've been really, now that we're getting into this portion where there are some more running back values, there's some clarity on some of the late round targets that I like. I feel pretty comfortable going into drafts with a ton of different builds and not feeling like I'm going to back myself into a corner I can't get out of.
Nice. Yeah, I agree. This has been probably been the least ideological I felt like I've drafted this year. I'm kind of just taking who I think are the best players. That tends to lead to certain builds more often than not, but and even probably the thing that I'm doing structurally most consistently is just hitting that quarterback button pretty early in the 6th round or 7th round, but that doesn't really feel as much intentional as it just you kind of do get a pretty big tier break. Someone just said there's big Colts news for me. If there is big Colts news for me, let me know in the chat, because I've been locked in on this program and I haven't been checking Twitter. So
I just checked my fantasy list.
I see.
And I don't see anything.
It's Colts. It's not that interesting. I think we all knew this. Daniel Jones said on the Pat McAfee show he's fully cleared and will be on the field for training camp.
All right. This is like the time I got the Rashi Rice, is able to see his physical trainer in prison news, and I underreacted to it according to one basketball tout. All right.
I thought we signed Keenan Allen or something. I was scared.
Exactly. That's big news. 15-10. We got the 2-4-6-2. Is this a team you would consider a third quarterback? Mendoza with Genty, Gino with Sadiq. You also got Brian Robinson at the top of your ranks here for a 5th running back.
I think we could go 2 or 3 on the quarterbacks. Let's do B-Rob for now. I think it's another bit of a drop after him. We definitely need a 3rd tight end as well, and I think this is probably the turn to do it, so we don't have to take like Charlie Kolar or Darnell Washington. You
want to take the guy that Davis is exposure mogging you on with 433 Terrence Ferguson shares. Did you see that screenshot?
I think I do. I think I do, in fact, want to take him, yeah. No. He goes. He gets sniped.
Oh! Mendoza.
Interesting. I don't know. I'll let you break the tie. Who do you want? I'm fine with either.
I think straight up I prefer Mendoza.
Sure.
They both have week 13 bye. The Mendoza and Genty kind of correlation is even maybe more intuitive than a normal quarterback running back pairing there. And truthfully, I just have way more Gino House of Cards Jets teams than I do Mendoza.
I have a lot. This is also probably a better team to take Mendoza, because we didn't really need a 3rd quarterback on this team.
No.
We have Burrow and Herbert. So if the 3rd quarterback is like a pure luxury pick, even if Mendoza sits the first 6 weeks, I don't think that bothers us too much. So
in the Mendoza swing, like I was in my first draft this morning where I had Bowers and I had kind of circled Mendoza. I like Goff was my first QB, Dimes was my second, and I thought Mendoza would be a great 3rd. And he goes, I want to say it was like 158 in that draft, or it was really early. He falls to 183 here. That seems like a good price to get a correlated 3rd quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with that. So what are we sitting on now? Are we 3-4-6-2?
3-5-6-2. You mentioned the tight end.
What's our destiny here? Is it 3-5-7-3?
I think so. The 3rd tight end, I'm with you. Fannin Judkins. I mean, that could maybe be a tweener. The 5 running backs I feel good about. Genty, Hampton. You have the 2 rock solid guys up top. You have Harvey and Mitchell, this kind of explosive, wide range of outcomes guys. And then Brian Robinson, the quintessential handcuff with maybe a smidge of touchdown standalone value. I think that, but considering T. Higgins was our first wide receiver, I do think a 7th wide receiver, 3rd tight end.
We definitely want a 7th,
right.
I think. I think the 3rd tight end also makes sense because all 3 of our quarterbacks have a late round tight end option. We could take Gesicki, Mayer, or Kolar.
Wow. You're part of, they sucked you into the Kolar Vortex, I hear.
It's, I'm up here in Canada. The Kolar Vortex comes in every year and it sometimes gets you.
Remind me why I'm not getting this reference. Who is your favorite rookie wide receiver? Copy paste late says make you take him.
I'm not sure who my favorite rookie wide receiver is. I mean, my favorite rookie wide receiver is Jordan Dyson. I don't think he's available here, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly who's being referenced.
Yeah, me either.
Maybe he means Brennan Thompson. I kind of like Brennan Thompson, but I don't think I've taken him much in best ball.
Yeah, man, Brennan Thompson.
I'll need a further explanation from copy paste Lade.
That was like, if you enjoyed the Keandre Lambert Smith experience from last year, can I interest you in Brennan Thompson this year? Because you will love it.
Oh, I think they mean Stribling.
Oh, Stribling.
Not my favorite rookie wide receiver.
Gotcha. Wicks, Pat Bryant here. I mean, tight end did get kind of wiped. We probably go wide receiver here and then figure out
wide
tight
receiver
end
first. Wicks, I think, is the clear guy if he lasts. If he doesn't, then I'm not sure.
I really like. Oh fuck! I knew it.
Oh god!
Right when I said. I've been like Pat Bryant or Noel look good to me.
I like both those guys. Let's do Bryant.
Okay. Let's do Pat Bryant here. Pat Bryant, our 7th wide receiver. And then let's look at tight end here. By your ranks,
I think Mayer makes sense.
Mayer, yeah.
In terms of Gesicki's gone, I assume. So I think it's Mayer, Kolar, or Njoku. I think if we're gonna take a shitty tight end, we might as well take a stacked one. So
yeah. What do you, man? Yeah, John Warner had me take Mayer on a team we did recently on Off and on the Clock. Is it just the contingent smash, or do you think there is some room for some standalone here?
I think there's enough room for 18th round best ball standalone value. Like they're going to run a lot of 2 tight end stuff, I assume. Their receivers don't really have any sort of target earning profile at all. So, I mean, last year, Mayer would still chip in a few receptions a game when Bowers was out, and that was or Bowers was playing, and that was on a completely dysfunctional offense. So I could see even with Bowers playing, Mayer runs 55 to 60% of the routes, and could post like a 12 to 14% target share. Like I see that different than Cade Otton. And then if Bowers is out, I think he probably becomes a low end tight end 1. So I think he's a completely reasonable pick late in drafts. And when we have Mendoza already, like to me at this point in drafts, the difference in bet is pretty small. So I'd even be willing to take Kolar there or Njoku, who I really don't take. Just may as well get a little bit of extra correlation at that point.
Yeah, and there's this other, the only pushback I have on that, it's just like, do you just not put yourself in a position where you have to be thinking about Michael Mayer or Charlie Kolar, and you're trying to take a wide receiver dart here instead?
I mean, but the wide receiver darts suck too. Like someone named I. Williams was just drafted. I don't even know who that is.
Who the fuck is I. Williams on the Jets here? Isaiah Williams? Was that a typo? Did someone accidentally? They do have Geno Smith. AJV rules 422. If you're in the chat right now, tell us about this selection you just made.
He's 25 years old. He was undrafted in 2024 out of Illinois. He was signed last year, September 10th, off the Bengals practice squad. Returned 5 kicks, won Special Teams Player of the Week in week 8. Returned another punt for a touchdown in week 10. I don't know that he did a lot of receiving. He seems to primarily thrive in a special teams capacity.
People say sick punt returner, kick returner, gadget slot guy.
Oh, he had 26 catches last year.
Dude, I bet this is right. Lance says I bet he tried for Isaiah Davis. That had to have been it.
That would make more sense. More sense.
Yeah, he wanted Isaiah Davis. That's right. Once he heard Jacob, did an about face on his Braylon Allen exposure because of Isaiah Davis, he said, I got to get this guy. He's got to get this guy. All right, let's recap this team, see how we did here. Jacob, head over here. This is my 98th Best Ball Mania draft here. Joe Burrow, Herbert, and Mendoza here at quarterback. Genty, Hampton, RJ Harvey, the Missile, and Brian Robinson at running back. T. Garrett Wilson, Christian Watson, Golden, Khalil Shakur, Trey Harris, Pat Bryant at wide receiver. And then the 3 tight ends, Fannin, Kenyon Sadiq, and Michael Mayer. What do you think about this one?
I like it. Nice balanced team. I think it's pretty fun. And we got a lot of fun, single game upside type profiles too with, Harvey might be tough week to week, but has that big play ceiling. Watson, Higgins, Matthew Golden, kind of all big play guys. So I think a pretty fun setup, and nice to be targeting some good offenses for a change for me instead of stacking up the Browns and Jets.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one of the things we're going to run into with our main event drafts, and even in these underdog drafts too, where it's like you want to pick off some of these value. It's almost the opposite of the Chargers situation, where it's like I want to just stack up this whole team and let them go burr. And then the Jets, Titans, and Browns, you're like, I just want to, just take a little piece here and just hope that I pick the one piece that actually smashes because it's hard to envision them all smashing.
I know we've done, and I've been constantly feeling this way on a lot of my teams, but we did one got really extreme in one of our FFPC drafts where I think we ended up taking a Brown, a Jet, a Titan, a Cardinal, or whatever it was. So the first 5 picks, it was crazy. So it's been it's probably something I need to be more mindful of because I'm looking like my Jets exposure is ridiculous. My Browns Cardinals exposure is all really high. So I'm probably not indexing enough on the touchdowns. But this is a team that can actually score some touchdowns. I hope with the Bengals, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Packers.
This is funny. Copy paste points out that we did do Garrett Wilson and Sadiq. And Frog says double stacking Jets doesn't even count to him. Like, no, we're talking like you got to have 5 Jets, 5 Browns for that to register.
I forgot we had taken Garrett Wilson. We probably should have taken Geno then if we had Garrett and Sadiq. In my mind, we were just staring down a Sadiq stack.
I completely forgot about Garrett Wilson too. I was like, why does the solver so definitively prefer Geno? It was like, oh yeah. I mean, we are so numb to selecting Jets that it just doesn't even count.
I didn't even realize we took 2 Jets. Yeah. Who knew?
Look, okay, we have multiple people. We do have a little bit of time until Kerrane comes. Hunter wants us to do a Badge Bros Brawl, Bros contest. Should we rip a quick one here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Have you seen the format for this contest?
I've seen it. I haven't put one in yet. And I usually don't play as much of this just because it's hard for me to wrap my head around the 6 person. So you're gonna have to drive the car a little bit, but I'll happily carpool with you here.
No, I mean I'm flying blind too. I think the funnest thing is that when we get to, I believe it's pick 108, this is where all of the players going after this are going to be drafted less than 100%. It's the equivalent of like the 216.
Right.
And so if you have some strong takes on Keaton Mitchell, on Bill, Rashid Shaheed, you can get these guys at probably 10%, 15% ownership because people just aren't going to get there.
Right.
Otherwise, similar scoring settings, obviously a similar roster, all of that. It's just half the drafters is normal.
Half the drafters.
So we got the 1-4 here. And like I mentioned earlier, tomorrow on Off and On the Clock, we are going to cover this contest in full. We'll dig into the strategy a little bit more here, but we'll have some fun ripping one of these with Jacob. What's your kind of programming schedule now? Because you have so many different shows you're doing. You got Dynasty stuff. You got the long view. We, of course, have ADP and ship chasing. Where do people keep up with this?
Easiest thing is to just sort it by media apparatus. Let's do whichever the wide receivers, right, is highest, I think.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, Chase. Jason, yeah.
So, basically ship chasing stuff. You already know the schedule, of course. We do ADP chasing Tuesday, ship chasing Wednesday. Although I guess the ship chasing schedule itself will be a little bit variant as we start to do all the drafts, probably less reliably at Wednesday, 2 Eastern. And then for fantasy points, we have twice a week now. So we have Dynasty Points, our recorded show, comes out Wednesday mornings. We're also doing our live show again. That is right before ADP Chasing on Tuesdays. So that'll be, I'm trying to put this in Eastern time.
Here we go.
It'll be 6 Eastern time. So it's an hour and a half before ADP Chasing starts. What do you do here?
Man, well, you already Genty over Lamb. You want to do Jefferson, Genty, Bowers? Bowers gets pushed up in this kind of format too.
That makes sense. Yeah, we could do that. That's fun.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's push up the tight end here where getting that separator when everybody's going to have a top, 10 tight end pretty reliably makes sense. Yeah. Are you enjoying, though, with now having all this time for streaming and drafting, is being a full-time fantasy football content creator? Is it everything you would have hoped for?
It is. It's everything I hope for. Yeah, it's nice. It's pretty nice. I mean, easily the best thing about being a fantasy football content creator, especially as opposed to a lawyer, is just I had like a lovely day Sunday. I went over to my friends. We were barbecuing, and everybody else was like, "Oh, like this is so nice," but like work's gonna be so terrible on Monday. I was like, "I think work's gonna be great on Monday." Like I'm hopping on to YouTube at 9 as the first commitment, and then I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna probably go for a walk. I'm gonna write, and then maybe I think I'm pre-recording an episode late tonight as a guest spot. I'm like, that's a pretty nice Monday at the salt mines. So yeah, I would say it's everything I've hoped it would be for sure.
You want to grab a running back here? Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, Henry Achan.
Should.
Who's your guy?
I like Walker the most, but whoever you like.
Yeah, no, I'm a Walker guy as well. I am starting to worry. Do I have this big blind spot with Chase Brown? Is he a guy that could make me pay, or is in the ways he hit I can still survive it with some of the selections I make instead of him.
Yeah, I that's kind of how I'm at. I'm not full fading him, but I'll be pretty precipitously underweight. And I get the role is amazing. I just think the role is going to be pretty great for a lot of these guys. And I do think there's a pretty meaningful talent gap between what Chase Brown is and what guys like Barkley, Achane, Walker are, and what we hope Hampton is. Purple Yosh, I will answer that question. Absolutely Nexus, 100%. Westlaw is like a horrendous UI experience.
Achane comes back. You could go bully tight end with McBride, grab another wide receiver, Nico, get a quarterback, Allen.
My inclination be Achane, but I'm not like the master of this contest. So you feel free to
this is my first one I've
here.
done. So we
okay.
are,
All right. We're on the same page.
We're just player taking and vibing. I mean, the one thing the chat did mention, the way this structure is, so it's 1 of 6 advance, then 1 of 5, 1 of 5, 375 person final. So this is like a week 17 is all that matters contest with how small those pods are.
I see.
Yeah. So we got Walker, we got Achane, Puka, Brock Bowers. If you're tuning in, it is BBB, Best Ball Breakfast, but also a Badge Bros Brawl. We're sneaking in one of these here because you can get in one of these drafts in probably 15 to 20 minutes because it is half of the amount of picks of a normal selection. So we can load up on high upside guys like a Jeremiah Love falling to round 5 in this one.
Yeah, I just go with a third running back here.
Let's do it.
People are really actually scared of this Nathaniel Hackett quote with him, aren't they?
I see the quotes too. Where
do you care at all? I don't really care about anything like that.
No, I mean, any of the concerns you have for Love are not changed by what Hackett says, and I think you would argue that those concerns are already priced in to his ADP. So are we just going to do the double counting thing?
How much of the concern do you think is what he said versus people remembering that Nathaniel Hackett is on the staff?
I mean, I might need to raise my hand up and admit that I also forgot that Nathaniel Hackett was still on the staff.
Yeah, Purple Yosh said that is just that Hackett exists. Like, I think a lot of people are just like, oh shit, it's Nathaniel Hackett's involved in this operation.
Isn't that crazy too? It's like we all, cover this, think about this nonstop, and we kind of all just had memory hold that happens. Let's grab another wide receiver. You want to just swing for the fences with Nabers?
Do Nabers. You said week 17 is all that matters, so that's
all
perfect time to take Nabers.
Yes. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Davis says, we forgive you. You're just now starting your best ball research. Speaking of Nabers, this is the guy who, after a report about Nabers, fires up a stream and he just titles it, "I was right." Let's talk about Malik Nabers.
That's Liam behavior.
That is. They're rubbing off on each other. So we're doing the Badge Bros Brawl. We got Kenneth Walker, Achane, Jeremiah Love. Before you say, how did you get all those guys on one team? Well, there's only 6 people in this draft room. Puka, Malik Nabers, Brock Bowers. I will say I could get used to this, just drafting all studs through 6 rounds.
Just draft the best players. I guess that does really enable you to take more swings because, you're going to have the threshold to make your lineup is going to be way higher on one of these teams than usual. So I do think Nabers is a way better pick in this format.
Wilson, Jacobs, ETN, Tetaroya, McLaurin, Waddle. We're vibing. Who's the vibe?
Waddle's probably my vibe.
Let's do it. Let's do it here. I will say, did you listen to, I forget what it was. Sean Siegel podcasting with Ben had a throwaway line about Waddle not being that good. And I had one of these moments where my kind of heart stopped. Did you hear that?
Sean's, I haven't heard that, but I've heard Sean not be a very big Waddle fan for a couple years now.
Yeah, which I always thought was
a take I've never really agreed with, but
yeah. ETN, Tetaroya, McLaurin, Burden, Evans, May, Montgomery.
I don't know what. I mean, the vibe pick is Burden. Probably the right pick is Ted or ETN.
Yeah. Well, let's vibe with Burden. I say the theme for this draft is we just slap it up and swing for the fences.
Nice. We're just gonna go full Adam Dunn on this one.
Yeah. No, yeah. And again, I'm forgetting exactly. He pointed to some stuff that was concerning with his stat stuff, but it's also him living in the shadow of Tyreek. It is such a different setup for him this year. And man, I just continue to get more and more bullish on this offense. The offensive line is awesome. Sean Payton's going to really hit his stride. finally has a good set of weapons. It just seems like everything's set up. I know I'm not the only person to have that take because Waddle's price continues to move up, but man, I have a hard time poking a hole in it.
I agree. I'm very in on the Broncos and Waddle especially.
So the quarterback stuff here as we enter round 9, I mean, we have plenty of late stuff we can do with Dart, with Stafford, with Nix, with Caleb. So we could grab like another guy like JMO or get a 4th running back.
Yeah, I think any of these are pretty fun. I mean, if we just keep kind of leaning into the, hey, we're going to have better teams, let's just swing pure upside, then I think Trevion becomes a pretty interesting pick here.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Like the appeal of David Montgomery, a guy I think we both like, isn't as necessary when you have Kenneth Walker, Achane, and Love on the same team.
Right. Like I'm doing live take having on a contest I've barely played.
No, that's the
it does seem like your ceiling threshold should be a lot higher on a team like this in this contest, where you should be taking, I think, more of that pure swing for the fences approach, a little bit less interested in usable weeks, because that Montgomery 9-point week is probably not entering your lineup nearly as often in a contest like this.
A wise man who might have been in the chat a few minutes ago once said you can just make shit up. And so that's what we're going to do with this Badge Bros Brawl. We could do grab Caleb here to get one of those first upside stacks. We could also swing for the fences with like a Tootin or a Bucky. What do you think we do here at 10?
I think we got a rapidly dissolving running back wide receiver tier. I think we try to push Caleb one more and we take one of these guys. I'm fine with Tootin, Bucky, Judkins, even Monty would be fine here. Watson would be fine here. I think I'd go Tootin or Bucky.
Yeah, let's keep the slap.
This is a pure slap team, so this is fun.
There you go. All right, here's the team so far. Badge Bros Brawl, 6 drafters, still going 18 rounds, but we have Kenneth Walker, Achane, Jeremiah Love, Trevion Henderson, and Bashel Tootin, Puka, Nabers, Waddle, Burden, tight end Brock Bowers. I am thinking about some of the quarterback ADPs, the guys who fall. You can see here they're all, they just kind of come to a halt at 107 because this is adjusted there. But even guys like Baker, Shuck, Willis are not getting drafted near as much. Stafford's kind of just inside the line. But yeah, Caleb comes back, so that seems nice.
All right, let's do Caleb.
Yeah, we have the 5 running backs now, so might as well start piecing together. I do think this contest, the fun exercise becomes who are the guys going after pick 108 that we could see drafting in the top 60 picks next year? Like, who are the guys who could really jump? Those are obviously the targets.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And we could do, a guy like Bucky continues to slide. Price is also a huge swing here, or we double up Caleb with Rome.
I think we do that. I think we take Rome here, get the double stack.
Yep. Because that gets us back to the week 17 thing. Like, we're going to need that game to cook. We're going to need Caleb and Burden, or, obviously that entire offense to get us through some of those pods. So I think opening ourselves up to a big week 17 matchup there with the Bears there versus Detroit. I believe that game had a 49.5 point total in the look ahead line. So seems like a good one to invest in there.
Yeah, definitely. That's for sure.
All right. 13.
Oh, man. So Bucky just continues to sit there on the board. It's pretty interesting. And Price. Probably can only take one more running back, but I wouldn't mind being done after one of those guys.
We also got your guy Tyson as well.
Tyson, like Marv. Tight end looks like a wash like that. Those are the same guys for a while. I think I'd be Tyson or Price or Marv. So let's do one of those rookies.
Yeah, let's do Tyson. You said your favorite rookie. I mean, we gotta do it here.
Yeah.
Looking at the quarterback ones again. So yeah, we have this sweet spot here. Dart with Nabers, Nix with Waddle, Stafford with Puka. And then if you want to get outside of the 100% drafted, you could do like a Shuck with Tyson as well.
Yeah, those guys all go pretty close to the very end of the draft. So that's encouraging.
Yeah, and so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more picks. And I think we can probably get a little scrolly with our other tight end, like you said. Like A lot of these guys have some nice upside who are also not getting drafted a ton.
Might just have to scroll all the way down to Terrence Ferguson.
Oh my God. Do you want to do like Dart here? Get another big swing
Let's
with
do that.
Nabers?
Let's take Dart.
Okay. Man, these drafts absolutely rip too. We got the pros in here just smashing.
The time is
picks.
pretty fun.
I know.
This has been a good advertisement for the format. This makes me want to draft more of these.
Yes. Get in, get out. And man, it gets me excited for Battle Royale drafting season as well. Sure. Do you want to get Scrolly at third QB, or do you want to take like Knicks and just lean into these like all three high upside guys?
I think we just take. I think it's Knicks or Stafford. We have it set up. So let's do. I think we can. Yeah, let's take Knicks here. That's fine.
I feel like Knicks, Caleb, Dart, all stacked up with their wide receiver ones is just very fun.
We can add Sutton at this pick too. I think probably.
That's true. And lean into the double stack option. Do you know what this might be a team, if you wanted to get Scrolly with the tight end, isn't this the perfect format to get a little Isaiah Likely despite him being overpriced everywhere else?
Yeah, that does unfortunately make sense. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I
took Likely on a BBM actually yesterday where I had Dart because I was trying to get my Nabers exposure back up, and took Dart, and then Likely was there like 7 picks after ADP. I was like, all right, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Fine.
Crutches says going to BBM after 6 mans is like checking into a methadone clinic. I could see that.
All right, so let's do Sutton here.
Sutton,
Likely at the next if we can.
Yep, and then
we can really scroll on the last pick, which will be.
This is where we get fancy.
It's probably running back. It's probably our last one.
Yeah, we have a 3-5-7-1. Yeah, we'll see if Likely comes back to us. It's a little disappointing. I was kind of hoping Likely's ADP would be a little lower. He comes in like right in the drafted window, but I still think it makes sense. And we get the 3 double stacks for all of these quarterbacks.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, here's our challenge. You have to pick someone after ADP of 106.8 for this final selection.
Okay. Well, I won't pick Rachaad White. I'll try to be more inventive than
Thank you.
Let's see. I think I'd either go, if I'm just trying to think of someone who's like a pure ceiling play after that. I feel like guys I would think of would either be like Travis Hunter makes a lot of sense to me in this contest. I think Terrence Ferguson makes a lot of sense in this contest, legitimately. And I'm trying to think of a running back. I mean, I think that the missile could be fun. I think that JCM could be fun if you don't want Rachaad White. I'll say Travis or Terrence. Those will be my 2 faves.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a guess as to which one of those you prefer.
Wow. This is a tough choice. Terrence Ferguson, Travis. I mean, come on. Let's be real. Travis Hunter is the perfect pick in the contest.
He's a great pick in this contest.
It goes back to that thing. If the pendulum swings in that direction, whatever happens, injury, what have you, like we've already done the thing where we drafted Travis Hunter at the 4-5 turn coming into the league.
Correct.
We would all be back in on doing that again if he has a 27% target share year and flashes what we thought his prospect profile said he could flash.
Sweet.
Don't try to like talk me off of Travis Hunter as a fancy 0 while discussing Terrence Ferguson in the same breath. Come on down, Travis Hunter.
Oh man.
There it is. Here's the final Badge Bros Brawl contest roster for us. Caleb Williams, Jackson Dart, Bo Nix, Kenneth Walker, Achan, Jeremiah Love, Trevion Henderson, Bayshell Tootin, Puka Nacua, Malik Nabers, Jalen Waddle, Luther Burden, Roma Dunze, Jordan Tyson, Cortland Sutton, Travis Hunter, Brock Bowers, Isaiah Likely. The time when you can draft a team where your worst players are Sutton, Hunter, and Likely, it's a pretty fun format.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Jacob, appreciate you filling in for Sam Sherman. Many are saying he might get Wally pipped after this. Any other?
He'll be okay.
He might be okay. Any of your final parting shots or things you want people to check out here?
Sure. Check out. I just wrote up my second to last article in the ambiguous wide receiver room series about the Colts. So a lot of Josh Downs propaganda in there over on Thinking About Thinking. And check out the Long View, new podcast with Ben Gretsch. We got 2 episodes up now. You can find that on YouTube, or you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. So yeah, thanks a ton for having me on. This was fun, and have fun with Pat.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm going to drop the link down in the chat here for the Jakob Substack. Make sure you guys go check that out. We can't lose this guy back to the legal world. You have to support the Substack and keep him in the fantasy space. And yeah, Jakob, I will look forward to watching you on ADP Chasing tomorrow night, Ship Chasing Wednesday, and then IRL in Austin on Friday.
Yes,
when do you get in?
Absolutely. I get in later than you guys are out, but I'll join you wherever you guys are in. I get in like 8:15 or something because I gotta fly all the way in from Canada. So
All right, and Jakob, I just want to make sure you might be at like an international airport.
Yeah.
You might see like an AUS, and you might just don't get on a plane to Australia. Is what I'm trying to say. Make sure you
Austria?
head to Austin. Yeah, Austria. It's just we get the Jakob Sanderson Home Alone moment where it's just like, oh my god. But
yeah, I land 8:17 Friday night, so I'll probably be wherever you guys are at around 9. That sounds like where I'll probably be.
All right. Well, looking forward to that, and we'll catch you on Ship Chasing this week. We'll check you later. All right. Welcoming to the stage my other Ship Chasing collaborator, Pat Kerrane. Welcome back to Best Ball Breakfast. How we doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Drafting some teams. Jakob and I just snuck in a Badge Bros Brawl. Have you checked out that contest with the 6-person drafts?
I haven't done those yet. But yeah, I was poking around looking at that yesterday.
Thank you,
God. The big dog instead.
Hey, that's how it goes. The producer reminded me. The chat reminds me. I continue to fail this, but I will do it better late than never. Welcoming to the stage, Scuba Kerrane, Patty Millions, Peacock Pat Kerrane on the 1s and 2s.
Are you kidding me? Kadarius Toney?
98 yards to the fucking house against Carolina in week 10.
I would actually be really curious. Are you guys going to get the Sims humming on that? Is that hard for you to spin up for a new contest?
We
format?
need Shady to code it up. I'm not sure if we'll have it or not. Leaning no, but yeah.
100K up top. I would just be fascinated to ultimately see how much it suggests to scroll in that contest, just because the player pool stops at 108, and how much it would want you taking risks on guys like Keaton Mitchell, Travis Hunter, or some of these upside guys who are going to have a sub 10% drafted rate.
Yeah, no, keep going, because I think if you sell Shady on wanting to max it, then we'll have the code to do it.
All right, hear me out, Shady. This is your path to financial freedom. I know you're just scraping by. You have like a 0.01% win rate in all of these fantasy contests. Code up the Sims for the Badge Bros Brawl. Take down this 100,000, and then you can be like Jakob. You can be like Pat. You can be like me. You'll never have to work a day in your life. You can just be a fantasy player and content creator.
I think that worked.
Yeah, there you go. He's on it. Yeah, how have you been? You've been ripping drafts here?
Yeah, I've been letting the slow drafts kind of expire for the most part, because, well, first of all, there haven't been a ton of new slow drafts released. The slow puppy's still going. So it looks like the slow puppy will be open post Austin. So I was like, all right, I'm doing this all with Austin in mind.
Yes.
What can I do to make the Austin slow draft load just a little lighter and get down from like a peak of over 500 slows to somewhere in the 200s ideally. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm currently in 197 slows, Pete. I'm getting there, getting down under 200 for the weekend. So feeling good. 400 was 400 too many? I would say there's an inflection point around 200 where you're like, oh boy, this is like, I gotta make sure I don't, like, every morning I gotta put in my slow picks. I can't ever forget, that kind of thing. But right around 450 was another inflection point where it was like, this is now hard to get all my picks done in a reasonable time frame. And I'm like I can't have them in 3 batches. So I'd say, yes, 500 was too many. 400 was actually not too many. As long as you're not going to go to Austin for the weekend, if you're going to be at your house for a while, I think 400 is doable.
I did have my first welcome to the league moment with slow drafts. And I'm not even going to say how many I'm in so I can get like slow draft volume shamed. But it was my first time in this big slow draft wave where I was away from my desktop on the weekend. We went down to the beach. And so I had to do a bunch on my phone. And I will say it took a while. And I really wished I was at my desktop to be able to do those. Yeah.
I mean, I should note, like, this is not a sell, but it is. I have to have the sidekick for this. Like, I'm not doing this without the sidekick. It's the only way that I could imagine getting in. Like, literally, like, I'll be on the clock in 83. It would be like normal for like you're on the clock in 83 drafts right now. Like, how am I going to get that done quickly?
You know what I need to do for the haters and losers who say this? It's actually Monday. Do you know what Monday means? Means I enter 15 more bad boys.
Wow.
In the LA. So yeah, to everyone saying I'm not in that many slow drafts, how about now, motherfuckers?
He just doubled his slow draft volume.
I am clearing the decks on some of these weekly winners here that are the 18th round that I feel good to be. Nice. And now this is the issue. How do I find there's our Best Ball Mania draft. All right. We are back to drafting a Best Ball Mania draft here with Kerrane. We have the 112. Also, Pat, I got to tell you, first draft this morning, I did another Bowers McBride team. We had done one, 6 weeks ago. And it is fun to try to pull those off.
Yeah. And with McBride falling as late as he is, the Sims do not mind the bully tight end thing at all. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, has bully tight end ever meant that you take the previous tight end one in the third round? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not ever been, I don't think, available. Like, I seriously don't think that's ever happened. So, and like a young guy in his prime, like truly like in his prime. So like, yeah, of course that would be good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's just good to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, like I said, it's a little bit more of a tightrope walk, but it's certainly feasible. We'll take top kick here in James Cook. Yeah. We'll see if anything changes, but Cook Barkley's
really, that's the way I would go here.
Yeah. And there's who jumped the line here ADP wise? I guess Genty went ahead of Cook, although that one's starting to get closer in ADP.
Yeah. We have this kind of, I'd say there's like a big tier break here post Barkley is the way we have it. So you'll see, like, once you get post Barkley, like Hampton, Brown, all those guys. I don't know if you want to show it just to see that they're starting to go up, but you'll see like these guys in various mixes where, depending on the set of Sims that you have, it might be like it's a Chase Brown room, it's an Achane room, Walker, Hampton, all those guys are viable. But rarely do we see them actually flip Saquon. So we have it, pretty clear delineation after Saquon's off the board. It's like a little flatter, but we like Saquon above the rest of the group.
Yep. Yeah, we get all the running backs coming off the board. We go Barkley, then Hampton, Walker, Brown, Henry, Achane. We start with Cook and Barkley here. And then there is, you've mentioned, right, with the Sims, there is a little bit of an RNG element there, right, where there's the forecast, but then there's a little shuffling where you're not always going to get suggested the same thing over and over, even if you're in the same spot.
So we have ADP baked in, so that you are getting, like that, because, if you're going to have a guy who's like, he Sims pretty well, and this is where you have to take him to get him, then we want that player to build out a good portfolio of teams at some frequency, maybe not every time, but that player, it becomes a good pick, at times as part of your portfolio. And then what kind of helps that frequency, what drives that frequency is we sim out the season thousands and thousands of times. When you are getting your Sims for the sidekick, that's not the full set of every Sim we have. It's a subset of the Sims that'll be unique to that draft, so that you're not going to just have the same exact, sim-driven recommendations for like all of the drafts all the time for you, and then also for everyone else, right? So this is how we are able to support this being a publicly released tool, is that there's some sim variants. So you're still getting things that we've simmed out, but then you have a slice of the Sims, which is going to be different in every draft. Is sacrilegious. he put it just more concisely than me.
Yeah, and there's the element, like if you've used sim tools for DFS and stuff, right? There's an element of variance that you can ratchet up on it too. Like if you feel like the exposures it's spitting out are, too concentrated and you do want more variety in that. People talking about Nabers, Pat, this is now, he went at the 2-3 turn in the draft I just did. I saw him at pick 29 in the second draft. He just went here at 26. Do you think this slingshot with his ADP based off of the avoid pup news is warranted or a classic overreaction by the market?
I think he's probably, look, I was reading this like he was going to, like it was more bearish than it looks like it is for sure. So I'm definitely feeling off balance where I was like, it looked like things had been moving in such a bearish direction for Nabers, but this obviously is bullish. I'm not sure how bullish though, because like he's not at camp yet. And so sorry, we're on the clock.
No, yeah, we're on the clock here at the turn. Javonte, Etienne, Jacobs, and then the break at wide receiver.
I'm good with Javonte or any of these running backs. And then we'll probably grab a receiver. We could be a 4X running back start by the top recommendation, but
let's see what it spits out.
I'm good either way.
Yeah, I'm good with Etienne and going forward.
Yeah, let's do it.
But yeah, sorry, keep going on the Nabers stuff.
So, yeah, on Nabers, like he, it's good that he avoided pup for sure, obviously, but he hasn't been there yet. And so it's unclear like what that means, because what I was reading is like it gives them additional flexibility. He's been there for check-ins, right? But as far as like reporting for camp, I don't believe he's done that yet. So at least he hadn't at the time that they didn't put him on pup. So it gives them flexibility in terms of what they do to ramp him up, and how much he's participating. Because when he goes on pup, they're limited in like what he's allowed to do. So I think it's encouraging for sure, because it tells you like this, they have a plan that includes at some point in training camp, like wanting to get him more involved in actual practicing. And that would indicate that he is more likely than we had thought a week ago to play early in the season. So I think all of that's all bullish. I still think he's at risk of missing early season games though. Like he may not go on the actual pup.
Yeah.
But is he going to play week 1? I'm still skeptical of that. And I wonder if the market is ultimately going to react negatively to the idea that he isn't going to play week 1 when people are starting to feel like really psyched about where he's at physically. So this, I think the nice thing is, I was saying last week, like we might see 5th, 6th round Nabers, 5-6 turn Nabers. I don't think we're going to get that anymore because he probably does fall later, but like kind of back to where he was probably. Like I think that 4th round Nabers, which I was mixing in, and I feel good about that because I wasn't sure he was going to fall. So I do have some Nabers at those cheaper prices. But I think maybe we get those prices again, potentially. But I don't think we're going to get like or even early 5th round Nabers is probably unlikely at this point.
Yeah, that was kind of my take, where it still feels like this is ripe for his ADP to be pretty swingy based on just the ebb and flow of these news reports. And kind of my thing is like, even if I think this is ultimately fair value for him, I kind of want to avoid like 2-3 turn Nabers right now, just knowing I think too. Something will push him back inevitably.
I think more like 3-4 turn Nabers. And I got up to 7.5% Nabers by taking him in the 4th. So I'm still underweight, but just barely. And, I feel like we played that. We didn't hammer him in the 4th because I was thinking he still would probably fall a little bit. That was wrong, but it's like not like we were totally avoiding him.
On the clock here, I mean, this Bucky sliding, you want to give people what they want? 5 straight running backs?
Let's do the 5XRB and see if we can dig out.
All right, James Cook, Barkley, Javonte, Etienne, Bucky, and then we're going to swing back over to Roma Dunze here.
Get that veteran receiver, wide receiver 1. We were just booming it up.
Yes, and I do have, like you can see here, I have way more Tyson in this range than Rome. And I assume too, like I'm guessing you have more Tyson than Rome as well, right?
Definitely have more Tyson than Rome. I'm at 10% Tyson. I'm at 7% Rome.
Yeah.
So it's close, but I do have more Tyson.
It was funny because I was just drafting with Levitan, and he was talking about watching Shady and a 5-5-5 on DraftKings and starting with 5 straight running backs. Jim says the kick not beating the allegations with this one, 5 straight running backs. To me, it doesn't. I mean, it's kind of to the thing I just did with the McBride and Bowers thing, where the knock on it is that you then make it harder to, if there's a really good running back fall, it's like, all right, we got other shit we got to do right now. We can't take advantage of that. We essentially remove a position from the board for us for eligibility, but otherwise,
the Sims don't really think that. Like when you get, like with the tight end thing, if I have Bowers and McBride, if you were to look at like Harold Fannin at 125,
it'll just say
you would just say take Harold Fannin. Like the Sims don't really seem to be believers in like there's unfortunately I just can't take this huge value that would be like a smash in any other situation. It's like he's probably a smash. He's like less of a smash probably than maybe he could have been otherwise, but you should still take the smash. So if we were to get like, it would take something big probably, but let's say like Jonathan Brooks is available at 108 or maybe it would be, that's not as huge a fall as I was hoping to do, but something like that.
Yeah.
I bet he would be at least in the mix for us.
Yeah. And then you obviously it's the inverse of the old meme. It's like, oh, I love your running backs, but I'm worried about your wide receivers here. How do you feel that your teams turn out when you do start this running back heavy?
Well, you're probably going to have Omar Cooper. Right? That's someone like that is probably going to be what I think we're going to find. One of the things that I have found when I do extreme builds is that it's not always about like then chasing wide receivers. That what sometimes will end up happening is then you steer into quarterback and tight end. And so like you're like, what if you're overpowered at 3 positions and a little underpowered at one of them?
Yeah. And
you are able to get, you have some hits at that position so that it's not like a huge problem. But essentially like you're not pretending that you're going to become overpowered at wide receiver on this team. You know it's going to be a weaker position, but potentially strong enough where if you're overpowered at 3 other positions, then it's a really, really good team. So that tends to be what I've done with this, where like you're not always chasing the wide receivers, but it is also dependent on what happens in the room. Like do good.
Oh my God. This isn't enough of oh my God.
Do it.
I'm going to put Jane Reed. You want to do this?
Yeah.
Tony Pollard as a running back 6 is insane.
Do it.
I will, but I'm not clicking. I'm letting it auto draft to Tony Pollard running back 6. You're like, I need to come up with a more realistic deep baller example. And your example was, the real example was Tony Pollard slides around.
That's like, hey, it's around, man.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is the classic.
Booming it up, baby.
What does Tony Pollard do for this team? That is my question.
Well, we'll ask Shady. I'm pretty sure he does something.
There's one person we have. I'm sorry, this can't be good. And there's this team is sick. Ryan says Sidekick has had one too many Modelo Negros. The Sims are drunk. Tiger, I love this. Look at this. We have a let's fucking go. Do not do this. The Waymo needs an update. We have officially polarized the crowd.
There is stuff where like because I've done a bunch of I did a ton of fast puppies on Saturday because I didn't end up maxing it, but I got 120 in and I had like 25 done. And I was like, Vivian was going down for a nap. I was like, I bet I can just crank out like, 80 of these or something. And yeah, because I was doing like 15 at a time. I was just like, so you see like in real time, because obviously like I'm doing so many that I'm just like, I'm just
you're just clicking
top like next track, right? So I'm kind of seeing, and it's sort of about the frequency, I think, where like there are certain teams that will be more extreme builds, but it's not like it's like, can you build a team that's weird, that's good? Right? This is one of the things about using Sims. It's like, can you build teams that you shouldn't probably build on your own that you can actually do with the Sims that end up being plus EV? And so it's not like all of the teams, like I have very few teams that look like this, but in a big portfolio, it might be good to have a team that looks like this, especially if no one else is building like this, that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, to me, it seems like, I mean, I do think these kind of things, like your advance rate odds have to really boost by this. When you have so much projectable volume, so many running back points, you're going to likely get off to a really fast start. And then the question is like, when you have the high-end wide receivers, you know, dropping 25 or 30 in the playoff pods, do you have enough of that ammo? Do
you have enough firepower
to really keep pace with those, even if your running back floor is so high?
Right. Right. And maybe you don't, right? But maybe you do. And then you get a team into the final that like no one else has anything similar to, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's about being able to explore parts of the game tree that you wouldn't want to explore, you know, just using the old noodle.
And some people in the chat were talking about, is part of the calculation starving the room? My guess is that sabotaging your league mates isn't part of the equation there.
No, it's not. It's not about the idea of starving the room. It's about, you know, what can you get now versus what can you get later, and then does this player add points to your team in ways that make you money?
Mm-hmm. And then this goes back to your point. It's not going to force wide receiver.
Yeah.
Despite only having to, it's saying, hey, the pockets of value right now are at quarterback.
Yeah. It's like, make sure you're good at quarterback. Like I rarely, when I go extreme one way or the other, let's grab Kyler. I rarely, my perception of it is that, just kind of from my own drafts, is that quarterback becomes a bigger priority on these builds.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like I was saying before, we're not going to have a strong wide receiver room compared to, you know, the initial draft. Maybe by the end of the season, we've hit on some stuff to where in our pods we're good, but we're probably not going to be great. So how does this team get through the pods? It's going to need to score a lot of points at quarterback.
Yeah. And I guess that's my only other concern with it too. And I guess you can do backstack stuff, but then you are going to get funneled to some of the naked quarterback selections here. And then it does come down
to guys run.
Yeah. Yeah. But then it's like, you think about in the pod stuff, right? You are now having to hit like a pretty big parlay where you're not going to have like the correlated stack benefits of your wide receiver tied to the quarterback helping you. You're not going to have the monster wide receiver scores most likely. It just does seem like a good advance rate strategy, but also a lot tougher to navigate 2 weeks of tight pods.
Yeah, intuitively, I agree with you. I think it's a strategy that seems more like a higher floor type of thing. But if we get like 3 25+ running back scores, then maybe it starts to feel a little higher ceiling than that, right?
And I mean, it does take me way back. Like I don't think anything was this extreme, but I remember, it might have been when you won BBM, when Leone did his like first sim run. I definitely know he did it the following year. I want to say, was that the year Shady finished?
That's the year I remember him doing final sims was the year that Shady finished third.
Yes. I remember
which was the following year.
There was a few like really running back heavy teams that I think they all had like Pacheco on it, who was like projecting pretty well that week 17. And the running back heavy teams were projecting the best in returning the most expected value in those sims in a way that was very counterintuitive to how we've all thought about wide receiver ceiling. I think everything keeps coming back to this thought that running back points and like projection, especially in a 1 week sample of just week 17, when we know what the projection is, it's a lot easier to forecast running back points than it is wide receiver scoring. And I'm guessing that's happening like writ large here to an extent with the Sims and season long.
Yeah. And it's funny because as I've been doing more of these drafts, in the last, over the weekend and stuff, and even my slow drafts, I'm starting to see drafts finish up. I think we've actually swung a bit more toward builds that are underpowered at running back, because we're starting to see, in terms of draft capital, right? We're starting to see some, guys later that are looking like at least slightly better clicks. And there's like starting to be enough of them down there where you can play to get some running back production later, where it's like hard if there's like a guy that we think is a good click. Like you're going to build your whole draft around potentially getting a guy, like that seems risky as hell. So this that we're doing it today with this genuinely robust running back room is kind of ironic, because I think we've actually the landscape's shifting a little bit toward at least more like hero, or grab a couple guys and then push it sort of builds, maybe grab one in the second, one in the fifth kind of thing.
These wide receivers seem great for us. Oh, actually, I'm surprised Baker flip. I'm going to do Shakir first.
Yeah, do Shakir. And then I bet Baker jumps to the top.
Oh
no,
does.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
Let's do Shahid.
So we've been top clicking it. I haven't recapped the team yet because the testosterone coursing through my veins.
You're like, screw you, audio listeners.
Watch on the video if you want to know what's happening.
You think you know how to draft best ball teams? You don't fucking know. Let me tell you this team. Kyler Murray and Jackson Dart at quarterback. And buckle up for this, folks. James Cook, Barkley, Javonte, you think I'm done? Yeah, fucking right. Travis Etienne, Bucky Irving. Oh, now you really think I'm fucking done? Guess again. Tony fucking Pollard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 4 wide receivers. Roma, Dunze, Jaden Reed, Khalil Shakir, Rashid Shaheed. How are we doing, brother?
I will say,
honest to God, Shakir and Shaheed are huge. Like if we got those guys is pretty sick, man. I feel great.
Purple Yosh says this team makes Hegseth so fucking cool. Wow. Jeez, I haven't heard that name in a hot minute. Goodness.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Harbs wants to show this team to the Ship Chasers 4 or 5 years ago.
Is copy paste laid? I feel like, are you saying it's good to have Shakir as the wide receiver 3? Because I think it's really good.
I think he means that genuinely. Is my
okay.
read on that comment. Yeah, where it's like the classic thing when we used to say like Michael Pittman comes preloaded on every running back heavy start. It's like you're not supposed to allow us to get the one wide receiver who makes this work on this team.
Yeah, I think it's great.
So yeah, we come back. It was really interesting there to see the Baker thing again. For a quick second there, it was at the top, but then you take Shakir. I'm actually curious what caused him to push down after. If anything, I thought it was going to be like you said, that once you take the wide receiver, it's like, okay, now get your third quarterback.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. I think Shaheed feels like comfier, so I was glad to see that.
Me too.
Yeah, one thing that's kind of interesting is like sometimes when you take a receiver, then receiver will actually sim better because you have like I think it's because your odds of hitting the flex with receiver go up. This is more of a shady question, but I have noticed that if you're like, when you take receiver, sometimes it'll make receiver a better pick, which is why we are seeing like I was saying before, like we're starting to see some more zero running back. If you just top click your way through, you're starting to see more zero running back than you were, or at least for we're not seeing a ton of zero running backs through 5, but through 4, we are starting to see more of that. So like, 5th round running back is your RB1 kind of builds.
Back on the clock, definitely makes sense to get our first tight end. I will be curious to see if this is a team that needs wide receiver points. It has Jawan Jennings available, and we have Kyler. I am curious to see if he bubbles up here after the Hunter Henry click, or if it stays consistent on tight ends.
Yeah, me too.
It does.
Pete!
Look at that.
The Sims are in my head.
Truly, dude. Truly.
I have formed one testosterone-fueled Hydra.
with the Sims to land the plane. Don't drop the baby. No, it's don't squeeze the baby so tight with your giant muscles that it can't breathe. Be gentle with the baby.
There you go. The Shakir Cope is interesting. I don't know what Cope there is. I've been drafting a ton of Shakir.
Yeah, I'm not
this
sure
year
what the Cope is.
on all kinds of builds, not just running back heavy builds.
Being happy about Shakir wide receiver 3 is pure copium. I don't think it is. I mean, like, what did you think our wide receiver 3 was going to be? Someone awesome? We took 6 running backs in the first 7 rounds.
Yeah, there you go. Fuck, why am I warming to this team? You let the testosterone get to you. Yeah, this is the thing too, and I've talked about this. There's this anchoring bias to punishing them on last year's price, and I've been guilty of this. I have not had fun clicking Shakir, but every time I click Shakir at 130 in my mind, I think I'm clicking him at pick 65. That's where he burned me. That's where I was mad. But it's a lot different now. It's similar with like Pitts, right? Like you could argue Pitt should be going higher than where he is based on what he did last year, the available opportunity, but we punish him for him burning us in the previous years.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Roquette saying the flatness of receivers from like round 6 to round 17 really makes this possible. The flatness of receiver, I do think is, I mean, Jacobs wrote about this a couple months ago now, about that kind of wide receiver tier break. And then it really is pretty flat. And I think that flatness exists like through where we took Shakir and Shaheed, so you're getting, I don't think it's truly all the way to the 17th, but it's like your ability to like crush the other drafters in your room at receiver by taking them in round 7 and 8 and 9 is pretty limited, where that's probably not going to be what separates your team from the pack.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really the only things like I like letting it take the wheel there. I do think I still prefer like Downs to Pollard on this team.
Sure.
You have Downs and Reed there. And then
that's what I intuitively want to do. But I did when
we had to trigger everybody.
Yeah. We had to trigger everyone. It also is counter to it, I would say, but yeah,
Hawk is a smash
awesome.
here.
Yeah. But like when I'm getting something weird, I'm more likely than Bernard is awesome too.
People are so mad at me. I take Jeremy Bernard in every draft. I got roasted for this morning,
dude.
Everybody's on Bernard. Clip. Yeah. Anyways, keep going though.
Sometimes when I'm getting something weird, I'm more likely to do it. You know what I mean? Like I'll IKB to stuff that there's certain players that I want more of. Like I want a pretty big overweight position on certain guys that, the way we have the sidekick designed, it might be a little flatter. So I'm going to like IKB to this guy over that guy or whatever. But when I'm like being suggested a structure that's unusual, I'm sometimes more likely to be like, all right, like, let me just see what's going to happen here. Like, I want to see what this team ends up looking like. Yeah. And that's like a team like I would never have on my own. So this is like an example that we've top clicked our way through here. I would never build this team on my own. Like I never would. No. But I don't know. To me, I'm like, but isn't that good? Like I use Sims for DFS. Like I end up on teams I would never put together on my own without using Sims. Like to me, that's one of the advantages of having a sim-based tool where you can build weird plus EV teams.
Also, one of my concerns about not getting some teammate level correlation there, we get Jawan Jennings and Hawkinson double stacked with Kyler at both very good prices and at positions of need there. So that actually came together nicely for us as well. And, sometimes it's not, especially when you're at the 12 or the 1 hole where it's just like, it's going to be hard to get things to fall back to you. But that one did help us out. Now we have 2 more picks. The team is 2662. You can look at the top kick right now. It's certainly interested in a third tight end, potentially in wide receivers, but we're almost for sure headed to what? Like a 2673 is going to be my guess.
A perfectly normal structure. 2673.
Yes.
There's nothing weird about
it. Let's see here. The team next to us, G-Money had only had 2 running backs. It was like the flip side of our build until round 13. I will say running back 3 Pacheco, running back 4 Sharps. I'm way more concerned about this team than I am our team.
Yeah, I think our team has potential to be, one of those teams that just doesn't have enough ceiling, like you're saying. Like it requires us hitting on receivers. Scorpion called Shakir a fancy 0. So if he's a 0, which would be hard because teams play more than one receiver at a time, which seems to be news to Scorpion there, who says he was replaced by DJ Moore. But if he's a 0, the team is really going to be hurt by that in a way that would be unusual for most Khalil Shakir teams. We need Khalil Shakir more than most Khalil Shakir teams do, I would say.
Yes, I would say we do. So top click, it was a bunch of wide receivers. I took Hurst at the top, and then I was curious if it would vault the tight end up over Pat Bryant. It did, with Gesicki still here, which makes sense because it's like last call. Gesicki's last guy. I did see Theo Johnson down here, which would have made a little bit of sense correlated, but Gesicki, just a better bet there. Yeah.
And I think the 3 tight end, like I was saying before, like so we end up with 2 quarterbacks, but both of them run, and we got them in that window where they're ceiling at the position. And then we end up with 3 tight ends. So that's what I was kind of hinting at before, is I was skeptical we'd end up with like 10 receivers. I just don't see that when I build teams that are heavier at running back.
I just want to say how much this draft has put everyone on edge, because we now have Common Sex says, "Hi Scorpion, I'm willing to wager up to 7 figures Shakir scores more than 0 fantasy points at even money this season. If you're willing to escrow, you can message me on Discord." That's where we're at this morning. Yes, please let us know how those negotiations go with Scorpion McScorp.
You're willing to escrow. It's so funny.
You guys can escrow it with me. I'll take the interest as my only payment for it.
Khalil Shakir is a fancy escrow.
Someone like the Shakir discords. This is where you knew it had jumped the shark. I saw this one. Khalil Shakir is fancy Jalen Noel, which is even an awful
that is actually pretty funny. That's pretty funny. I'll accept that. I'm accepting that one as a funny one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Chris says Wicks or Stribling could be good on this team. Brother, any wide receiver with a pulse would have been good on this team. Now here's the final squad. The most polarizing team maybe drafted in Best Ball Breakfast history. Kyler Murray and Jackson Dart at quarterback. James Cook, Barkley, Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, Bucky Irving, and Tony Pollard. We starved the beast. Wide receivers, Rome Odunze, Jaden Reed, yes, Khalil Shakir, Rashid Shaheed, Jawan Jennings, Jeremy Bernard, Ted Hurst. 3 tight ends, Hunter Henry, TJ Hawkinson, Mike Gesicki. We top clicked our way through it. I don't think we overruled it a single time.
We top clicked every single time. Here's what I'll say, man. There are teams with worse wide receiver rooms than this that don't have as good a running back rooms. You know what I mean? Like we there are teams that are going to score fewer wide receiver points than we are. This is not like an awful wide receiver room. Now, it's a strange team. Are we better off having Josh Downs than Tony Pollard? You could make that argument. I think you could.
I would like to make that argument, but
you can definitely make that argument. But like one of the things is that, like I was saying before, like, so this is a Best Ball Mania team, right? It's not a marathon team. It's not even a sprint team. Although in the sprint is weird enough. Maybe this would make sense there too. But you got to get through the pods. So like in some universes, the 3 running backs that get us through week 15 are different than the 3 running backs that get us through week 16. And we need everyone to finally take it down in week 17 that we drafted. So like, yes, most of the time that you draft a team like this, you would see Josh Downs and Jaden Reed, I think. I don't have enough teams like this to know that for sure. But like, that is, a lot of the times that you would have this team when we take Javonte, sometimes you would get Tedero McMillan or Ladd McConkey, right? And so you don't end up with the 4 running back start. A lot of times Bucky Irving doesn't fall to the 5-6 turn.
Yeah.
You don't have the chance to take Bucky, right? So that's another thing that was weird. And then a lot of times with the 5X running back start, you would get a second receiver instead of Tony Pollard is the recommendation. So, all that to say, it's a strange build. It's in part because we got some ADP, one big ADP faller in Irving. And yeah, some frequency of the time that you have this available to you, you would take a more receiver, not heavy, but less running back heavy start. And sometimes maybe you want to mix this in, which I'm frankly having a great time. I'm glad we did it.
It's just so funny that we were talking through is there ever any world that we'd get suggested the 6 running back and we're like Jonathan Brooks at pick 130. And then the sidekick like put its finger on our lips and said, shh. Tony Pollard at pick 84.
That is a round past ADP, a full round. It's a full round.
Oh my goodness.
We got 2 fallers.
Yes. And you can't win BBM without a rookie. We have Jeremy Bernard and Ted Hurst. Is the Ted Hurst stuff him bubbling up more? Was there any stuff changed in your guys' range of outcomes with him?
No, we are getting a lot of Ted Hurst though. And we even get more of him on DraftKings with the 20 rounds, and he's really cheap there. So I was looking, I think he's my 3rd highest drafted player on DraftKings. I know Shady's been drafting a lot of them. So we do like Ted Hurst. It's not anything we've changed recently though. I think he's got a path to playing time. It's kind of like he's got a different skill set than the other guys he's competing with. He's got enough draft capital. It's a good enough offense where he could, even as like a tertiary option, be someone who adds points to your roster late. I mean, certainly could add points to this roster, Pete.
Yeah, he could. It won't be a high barrier to hit. I will say, like, to just be serious for a second, like, I do think it's like 2 things are true. It's okay to be uncomfortable by this build. It fucking massively makes me uncomfortable. Like Pat said, I would never hand draft this team. It's also possible to try to learn from it. And the math saying like builds like this are viable. You can get to these spots and then you find your version of it that works. But I think that's the thing. The same thing happens in DFS, right? Like I hand build my beautiful double stack with a bring back and I run it through the sims and the stuff. And it's like, what you just built out sucks, Pete. And like, this is what you need to do. And am I offended? Do I want to build it how I want? But I'm also not going to be stubborn in the face of really good math that is telling me something else is viable. And again, if that's not fun for you, that's fine. But I also want to be willing to learn and be willing to embrace things that we're still new in the evolution of understanding these games, and your guys' sims helping us see different paths of the game tree. To me, that's fun to get uncomfortable and be like, what can I pull from this? What can I apply to future drafts?
I completely agree. And I also think like one of the things that I said before we even had Tony Pollard fall a full round, but it's Tony Pollard, so it doesn't feel as good as Jonathan Brooks falling 20 picks or whatever. But it's, and I think this is like a lesson that you can, they can be taken a little bit more broadly, at least. That's the way I'm thinking about it. I just so rarely see the sims turn their nose up at a good pick. Like here's Bucky Irving. You started 4 running backs. Bucky Irving falls 5 picks past ADP, and we like him at ADP. Can't take him though, because we started 4 running backs. Sims are like, yes, you can. Right? The Pollard fall. You're not allowed to scoop Pollard a full round past ADP because you already have 5 running backs. You actually could do that. That might be a really interesting and unique team that no one else will have. Like this is like a very, very unique team that like even other sidekick users won't have a team that looks like this, because you got Bucky Irving, you got Pollard around past ADP. Like this is, even for the sidekick, like a super unique build. And why aren't you allowed to do that? Because I already have these running back. Okay, but like this other running back still has the potential to add points to your team, and it's a build that no one else is going to really have access to because it requires 2 big fallers and a weird start to begin. Like a 4x running back start's not super common anyway. And then if you're able to land the plane on it, which we did, I think by getting the Khalil Shakir and Rashid Shaheed there. I think that was pretty massive for us. It's actually a stacked team with Jennings and Hawkinson. Like, cool. Like it's not like when I look at the portfolio, I'm not going to be like, this team's our best ticket. You know what I mean? But it's like an interesting way to build out a portfolio where you've got a variety of teams that look different from one another. I mean, this is, similar to what Zach wrote about a couple years ago with the Jacquard stuff. It's like, you want your teams to be diversified from each other so that you don't have just like a bunch of versions of the same team. And this is this team's diversified in structure as well as, the players that you have.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things I've noticed with it too, right? Is the idea of strengthening a strength is with a good pick is more valuable than shoring up a weakness with a slightly suboptimal pick. And we're all conditioned to having drafted so many of these teams. Like, we all intuitively understand where draft capital has been spent and where we need to make up for lack of quality with quantity. We all feel that. And the math is basically saying you are putting yourself in too much of a box with that draft capital distribution that we all intuitively like to play out when we hand build.
Yeah. And so what math explains being okay with 3 of your first 7 picks not hitting your lineup is wide receiver that flat. I think that the fact that you have, you get 1 through 14 is 1 week, right? One round. And then week 15 is its own, week 16 is its own, and then you got to score the most points in week 17. I think with that rule set, you have the potential. I mean, we always talk about this, like the ping ponging week stuff. Like, this is more of a shady question, but that would be my intuition, is that it's because you might need a guy that gets you through one of the weeks, and then that person doesn't matter again. And so having an overpowered running back room could be pretty helpful if there's a player in here that pops off in week 16 and doesn't score well in week 15 or 17. What if there's 2 players in this running back room that do that?
Yep.
How do we win the whole thing with those players? It might be having other running backs that score well in the other week. So, I would say that could be part of it. Also, like, we're all going to have the same number of players hit our lineup in the final. Everyone's going to fill out the same starting roster. So yeah, we have a higher percentage of our initial draft capital that won't hit our lineup. But if we find enough receiver points and then get nukes at running, we need 3 nukes at running back, I would say, to win the final. Sure. Yes. But if we get those 3 nukes, then we can have enough firepower at the other positions. Is really the way I see this thing taking it down.
All right, Pat, now tell the people if they're so offended by the Sims that they can get the kickstand instead, which won't necessarily tell you to draft 6 straight running backs.
Yeah, the kickstand is part of the normal leg up subscriptions. We launched that last week. The leg up subscription includes all of my articles, which I just released an article on the rookie running backs on Saturday. So you can just $15 a month, $99 for the year. You can sign up for the base leg up subscription, and it now includes a kickstand where it functions a lot like the Sidekick, except it doesn't have dynamic rankings. It doesn't have the Sims powering. It's just got the ability to upload your own custom rankings, and then it'll have the leg up rankings just auto updating in there, as well as ADP. So you can sort by ADP, leg up rank, or your own custom rankings. And then it's got one of the clock notification sounds, the tags for quarterback, teammate, bye week, bring backs, exposure as well. It'll display your exposure as well. So real helpful as far as, just kind of keeping things on track, keeping your draft from falling over, a little kickstand for you. So that's just available as part of the leg up sub. If you're already a leg up sub, you have the kickstand now. You just got to install the Sidekick extension and you're good to go.
Beautiful. And then as far as other stuff, Pat, I have you're doing Coach Speak right now, right?
Coach Speak. Yep. Jumping over with to the Leg Up channel with Greg Branos, doing legendary Coach Speak there. Going to be talking through some positive Coach Speak on my guy Bashal Tootin and some other big notes from training camp.
Beautiful. Can catch Pat on ADP Chasing tomorrow night. Wednesday on Ship Chasing, we are going to have Ben Gretsch joining us. Looking forward to that. As far as the rest of my schedule, mentioned it often on the clock. We're going to cover the Badge Bros Brawl. Tomorrow, we'll have the Swolecast. Wednesday, DFS After Dark with Mike Shope. Book Shope for After Dark. And then the randomizer Thursday, Pat, Silva is making his return for redemption.
Wow.
We'll find out.
I don't know. Redemption doesn't seem like what's about to happen.
I'll just say this. He's a new man. You saw him on So You Think You Can Tout. He enjoyed some of the bits more than I think people thought he would. So we shall see. Maybe he's more big curious in 2026.
I think the issue with Silva wasn't that he didn't. Silva's always liked bits. I think it was about the participation. Like the randomizer, you have to perform, right? You have to be, it's a little bit of a dance monkey sort of situation, right? And is Silva going to dance? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to dance.
Well,
we'll see.
It's funny you say that because, I'm not going to reveal everything here publicly, but there's some negotiations behind the scenes. Let's just say that we're meeting some of his demands to get the big dog back in the saddle.
Does he have right of first refusal on prompts? Has he seen the prompts?
Let the record show my guests always have the right of first refusal on prompts. No one ever needs to do anything that makes them uncomfortable. But we had to sweeten the
that's
pot.
when the prompts on the screen. I'm saying, is he looking at the prompts ahead of time?
No. I'm not sending him the prompts ahead of time.
Okay.
But let's just say we are writing prompts in mind with not having him give me death glares when he sees those prompts. So literally, I'll tell you this. I had invited him on and he goes, let me think about it. And it had been like 24 hours and I came back. Again, I'm not going to tell you guys what I said to him, but he's like, all right, we'll do it. So let's just say I had to negotiate, but we reeled in our big fish, as they like to say on Around the NFL.
Congrats, man. I'm very happy that you're able to get him back on.
So we shall see. And then, and then
when
like
was that? Was that
Jacob,
3-ish years ago now?
It's either 3 or 4. I have
Wow.
to look back. Yeah, wow. It was early on, for sure. I want to say I was at my old house, so that was 4 years ago, I think. But yeah, and then you and I will be out in Austin along with Jacob and the whole Ship Chasing crew. I mentioned it before. If you guys are in Austin and around on Saturday night, we'll have a public meetup as well, getting dinner and drinks. So shoot me a message if you guys are around and want those details. But other than that, it'll be a fun get together, and appreciate everybody in the chat today. Very fun show, extreme builds, great guests, good conversation, all of that good stuff. And we will see you guys next time on Best Ball Breakfast.